An American military veteran is due in court today, accused of helping China.
Former U.S. Air Force officer and pilot Gerald Eddie Brown Jr. is charged with providing and conspiring to provide defense services to Chinese military pilots without authorization, a violation of the Arms Export Control Act. The Department of Justice revealing the 65-year-old who left active duty in 1996 with the rank of major was arrested in Indiana. The complaint alleges around August of 2023, Brown willfully conspired with foreign nationals to provide combat aircraft training to pilots in the Chinese Air Force, traveling to China to do so in December of 2023, returning to the U.S. earlier this month. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The Winter Olympics are over. The next games will be in the summer of 2028 in Los Angeles. And while that's a big security job, there are other big events ahead of that this year getting attention at a House hearing.
New York Republican Congressman Andrew Garbarino said of events like the World Cup and America 250.
These games and festivities designed to bring people together in joy and celebration also present an array of targets for nefarious actors who seek to carry out violent attacks or exploit these gatherings for other illicit purposes.
Mike Sena is the president of the National Fusion Center Association, which links separate jurisdictions and law enforcement organizations. He warned,
there are multiple systems which are not fully integrated with state and local platforms.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The NHL season resumed last night. And Olympic hero Jack Hughes, who scored the overtime goal beating Canada in the gold medal game, got a standing ovation in New Jersey.
I'm so proud and I'm so happy that the men's and women's USA hockey teams brought gold medals back to the United States of America.
Hughes got his U.S. Olympic teammate Tage Thompson off of Buffalo's bench to join him in the spotlight on MSG Sportsnet. Then Thompson scored and led the Sabres to a 2-1 win over Hughes' Devils. On Wall Street, stock futures are down. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
Salem Surround. Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Donald Trump's State of the Union address checked all of the usual boxes. As theater, however, Trump reminded Democrats of his mastery. Trump knew Democrats wanted to make the event into a circus and became the ringmaster. He anticipated their heckling and outshouted it from the dais. He offered America a parade of heroes while Democrats sulked in their seats. Not once but twice, Trump asked Democrats to stand with Americans and then ridiculed them for failing to rise to the occasion. First, Trump declared that the first duty of government was to American citizens rather than illegal aliens and challenged the room to stand in agreement. Almost every Democrat remained seated, and Trump scolded, "You should be ashamed." More shockingly, Democrats refused to stand when Trump called for justice for Irina Zarutska, the young Ukrainian woman murdered in Charlotte by a lifetime violent offender. Trump appeared shocked and rebuked them. How do you not stand? Trump exposed the Democrats for what they are, radicals who care less about Americans than they do for power.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
It's February 26th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Carpe Diem Day. It means seize the day and celebrate living in the present by doing something out of the ordinary and fulfill a dream on your bucket list. On this day in 2012, Trayvon Martin, an African-American teenager walking home from a convenience store, is shot dead by neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman in Sanford, Florida. Zimmerman was charged with murder, later acquitted, but the term Black Lives Matter was then used for the first time by organizer Alicia Garza in a Facebook post on July 13, 2013. Also on this day in 1993, a terrorist bomb explodes in the parking garage of the World Trade Center in New York City. 6 people were killed and more than 1,000 were injured. Authorities evacuated 50,000 people from the buildings. Born on this day in 1932, the man in black, Johnny Cash. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Are you prepared for the Illinois estate tax? If your estate is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team now, 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Hey, I'm Steve Wyatt, and I want to invite you to the Wyatt Matters show, which airs every Sunday on this station. You can expect lively discussion and heartfelt reflection that will both entertain and inspire you. And if we do it right, maybe deliver some genuine laughter as well. We talk about not only what matters, but also why it matters.
Wyatt Matters. Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, the experts did their best with this season's flu vaccine, but the virus mutated and the vaccine could not keep up. But here is the truth. The most powerful defense against viruses isn't something man-made. It is the God-given immune system that you were born with. And the best immune system booster that I, Scott Jennings, know of is Virago. Virago. It is a liquid immune enhancement supplement featuring 23 potent nutraceuticals working synergistically to enhance your immune system against assaults. Trust the design that God gave you and strengthen your body's immune system with Virago, the ultimate immune enhancement cocktail. Order it online today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code Jennings to save 30%. Myvirago.com. Coupon code Jennings saves you 30%.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
You know, there's nothing wrong with flying first class. Of course, everybody's got that cheapskate uncle that always says the back of the plane lands at the same time as the front of the plane. I guess there's some sort of cheapskate logic in that. However, the door is in the front of the plane. So why not get to first class? After all, they have dishes, silverware, glasses, warm towels. And if you want to sit at first class, or you aspire to, all you need is a little planning from Alpha Wealth Group. Their goal is to help maximize your income in retirement. Since you can't take it with you, there's no point in squandering your time. After all, the warm towels make the ride fun. Call Tom Fortino and Alpha Wealth Group for their complimentary roadmap to retirement, so you can take a first-class flight and not worry about the cost. Call 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711. 630-864-6711 or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Are you confident your IT systems are rock solid? There could be cracks you don't see. Don't leave your technology to chance. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge to find out. For more than 30 years, Access One has helped businesses strengthen their security, protect their data, and improve resistance to cyber vulnerabilities, all with reliable U.S.-based support. And here's our promise. If our experts can't identify at least one measurable improvement to your IT systems and processes based on NIST or CIS regulations, we'll reward your compliance excellence with $10,000. This free, confidential risk assessment is available to businesses with 25 to 500 employees, and it's a great way to verify your IT is secure and efficient. No gimmicks, just proven results from an experienced IT partner. Ready to put us to the test? Visit accessoneinc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555 to schedule your assessment today. Certain conditions apply. See details online.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Hey there, Chicagoland. Jeff here from Jeff Buys Your House. For many homeowners, winter can feel overwhelming. There's big bills, unexpected situations, or the stress of owning a home you no longer want. But here's the good news. You don't need to wait for warmer weather to make a change. At Jeff Buys Your House, we make selling simple, even in the heart of winter. You don't need to fix anything, do any cleaning, and you certainly don't need to worry about unpredictable buyers. We buy houses as is, and you choose the closing date that works best for you. We've made the home selling process easy and stress-free for nearly 2 decades. That's why homeowners trust us, and why we've earned over 400 Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. As a veteran-owned business, we handle everything with integrity and care. So if winter is weighing on you, we are here to help lighten the load. Call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com and get your offer today.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will bring mostly sunny skies and breezy conditions with a high reaching 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, President Trump, among several policy-oriented announcements he made in the State of the Union address on Tuesday evening, was this one.
The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception.
Right. And so he was announcing, and that was the lead up to him announcing his war on fraud.
The Somali pirates who ransacked kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe. So tonight, although started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance.
And so that's essentially comes in the form of a task force and immediate follow-up. J.D. Vance and Dr. Oz had a presser yesterday in which they talked about, well, Minnesota specifically, but the benefits fraud more generally, that in particular, Minnesota is on a 60-day clock to audit their state's Medicaid program, and the federal government is halting $260 million in federal funds, otherwise scheduled to go to Minnesota, until that audit is complete.
That says that our American citizens, we take care of one another, and we're allowing a few bad actors to get rich off that generosity of spirit instead of providing the services to the kids who need it. This is disgraceful. It has happened for too long. Far too many people have gotten rich by taking what is the best of the American spirit and getting rich off of it instead of providing services to kids who need it. That is stopping today. We're taking a whole-of-government approach in the Trump administration to take this fraud seriously. What Mehmet Oz and his team at CMS have done is really remarkable, and it's just the first step of our effort.
And then Dr. Oz stepped to the podium to add a little bit more color, specifically on Minnesota. But, of course, the description of what's happening in Minnesota has applicability just with what we know from what independent journalists have done in Washington State, from Washington State to Maine, really. And so if it's happening in those states, you can be sure it's happening in all states to some extent, and in lawless blue states to a great extent.
What do we need to have happen? We need to know that the providers actually are the real providers. Oftentimes, there's no person that you can associate with the treatment itself. We need you, after you adjudicate who these providers are, make sure they're not already in trouble for doing bad stuff, and then evaluate all the current providers to make sure they're supposed to be able to provide these services. And there's a whole slew of tools that we can use, including checking before you pay the bill that the bill is legitimate. That prepayment review is incredibly important. It's cumbersome. It's clunky. We wish we didn't have to do it. But I'm going to highlight something that the Vice President mentioned. These are services that we normally would not pay for. They're services we give to you because your family can't do them for you. If it's a hernia operation, there's a dozen people who have credentials, licensing, we can use a scar. But if your service is transporting you to the doctor's office and you can't tell me who actually drove the car and why they billed so much and did the patient even go to the doctor's office, then we have to do our job, which you would want us to do, which is to ask for some backup. And there wasn't any backup. So to echo 60 days, that's the deadline. We expect to hear back.
He's talking about Minnesota. As I said, they're on a 60-day clock to complete an audit. And what he's describing, of course, to anybody listening who runs a business or does the accounting or does basic accounting, frankly, for a business or just for yourself, he's just talking about substantiating where the spend is going. I mean, this, harkens back to Doge, where you had Elon Musk give treatises upon all the money that was being spent, and nobody could, in particular agencies, all of them to a certain extent, had any idea where it was going or what it was for. And there was no substantiation that what was allocated was actually spent for the purpose it was allocated. Basic things, which constitute, of course, a revolutionary paradigm-shifting event in government. 312-642-5600 to give us a call or a text. Oz, and of course, for those of you who haven't been paying as much attention as you should, Dr. Oz, of course, is the head of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, so this is why he is integral to this conversation and to the J.D. Vance War on Fraud Task Force, if you will. Oz, looking at New York and California as well, he mentioned them specifically in terms of, you find anomalies when you survey the landscape over which billions of dollars is being distributed from the federal government to the states, and you say, maybe that's something we should look at. That's strange. Maybe that's something that we should investigate a little bit more deeply to ensure, again, that we're not imposing an opportunity cost on the people for whom the program was intended to serve, right? If you're frauding limited resources, then you're, by logical extension, imperiling the program serving the people it was intended to serve: indigent children, pregnant women, people with disabilities, when we're talking about Medicaid. It was not intended to help Somali warlords get elected back home. New York, California, Illinois, anyone?
New York, where the single most prominent job in New York is a personal care service. Retail is not the top job in New York anymore. And in California, there are more hospices, I believe, in Los Angeles County alone than the rest of the country. So these are aberrancies that are hard for the states sometimes to see, but your first inclination, if you're the vice president and you're running a task force, is to look at those areas and say, how can you ignore that kind of a discrepancy, especially when there's been a massive uptick in some of these services in a short period of time?
Yeah, that is curious, isn't it? It's like when Dr. Oz did his own sort of independent journalistic escapade up to Minnesota. He goes to that big office building in an industrial area in somewhere inside or just outside Minneapolis, and it's just floor after floor of home health care or health care delivery businesses that basically have a shingle and a one office footprint, a one room office in terms of their footprint, and nobody's there. Does that tingle anybody's spidey senses? It should. The same thing here in Illinois, we mentioned, and I'll mention again now. Human services spend in a state that is hemorrhaging population has gone up 8x the budget increase, which has doubled the budget under Governor Pritzker. So that's a short amount of time, 7 years. 8x above a 2x increase in overall spend. 8x on human services. So explain what's happening. Pritzker is driving that many more people into such straits that they qualify for the state federal Medicaid program here and other federally supported transfer payment programs? Or what? I don't believe the thresholds have been lowered. So either you're lowering the household incomes of an increasing swath of people, significantly, by the way, or something else is going on that is perhaps illicit. Because how else do you explain it? And of course, you get no explanation from the imperious Pritzker regime. And since you have no political press corps interested in challenging the imperious Pritzker regime, nobody asks any untoward questions or does any pushing, any independent journalism or any sort of journalism themselves, with few exceptions. You know, the Edgar County watchdogs and so forth. And so we don't know, but we know that in the aggregate, something seems amiss. And this is where the J.D. Vance War on Fraud Task Force comes in, ostensibly. And it would seem like the big blue states, if it's going on, like I said, in Maine and Washington State, in Minnesota, I mean, you can assume it's been scaled in California, Illinois, and New York. Ed in Elmhurst, here in Chicago's Morning Answer.
My opinion, we got to get the message out that one party doesn't want to fight fraud, inefficiency, and crime. We got to promote that message out. That's it.
Thanks for the call. I agree. I think this is a huge issue. Not just the dollars and cents of it, but I think there, again, this is overstated, but it's real. There is a general sense among Americans about fair play. And I want to be generous. I don't want to see people starve or not get the medical services they need, the basics. I'm fortunate, and so I feel a responsibility to help people who are less fortunate, both personally, ideally, that's the best, or even through some government programs. Okay. Yeah, right. People who, through no fault of their own, like people with disabilities who need support. Yeah. But then when I see these programs raided by fraudsters and politicians turn a blind eye to it for all sorts of fairly straightforward reasons, like their favorite political constituents or they're afraid of being called racist or something like this, pandering, it rankles me. I can understand that. I understand when I'm getting fleeced. I understand when they're running a scam on me. And so, all of these Nigerian princes that are running, the government version of the online scam at my expense, proverbial Nigerian princes, you get the reference, that bothers me. And I think that's easy to understand. I think it transcends partisan politics. It may even transcend Trump hate to some extent. That's why I think this is a big issue. In addition to just the underlying, morality and sanity that is implicated. Jan in Hoffman Estates.
Hi, listen, I drive in from Indianapolis to Chicago on a regular basis, and I've been seeing signs on Interstate I-65 Autism Center, this exit. I've never seen that anywhere across the country. So I think whenever the government passes out free programs, it's everywhere, and I'm sure it's in northern Indiana also.
Thanks for the call, Jan. Well, I mean, yeah, I have no doubt. I don't know specifically about that, but right, it's endemic to government. Public choice theory. James Buchanan won a Nobel Prize. Government doesn't have bottom line sensitivity, therefore it doesn't spend other people's money the same way that you would spend your own money. Incentives are misaligned. Right. But that's the autism. That's a good example of what I'm talking about. The autism scam that we know is going on in Minneapolis. So now you're taking my good intentions to say, at least I know some of my tax dollars are going to support kids on the spectrum or people with disabilities. And now I find out it's a scam. You're enriching yourself by fronting as a provider of services for people with challenges and disabilities. That's really despicable. It's more despicable than the guy who, it's sort of in in a visceral sense, more despicable than, a guy who, robs the local convenience store. That gets to people. It should. I hope it does. And it's clearly going on. And I highly doubt Minneapolis is the only place. Thus the task force. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll continue on this connecting of the dots between what Trump said, policy-wise in particular, and what is immediately afoot in attempting to advance the flags that Trump was waving. That's 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 24 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The Chicago Bears are another step closer to moving to Indiana. Lawmakers in the Hoosier State House of Representatives have approved a bill that would invest $1 billion towards moving the Bears to Indiana. Now, if that bill passes the Indiana Senate, it would then be forwarded on to the governor for final approval. Governor J.B. Pritzker says there have been positive discussions towards keeping the Bears here in Chicago. The Bears organization has yet to confirm if they'll stay here or move south. Nearly $6 million in damages have been awarded to a Chicago family who say their rights were violated following a botched raid by Chicago police. A federal lawsuit was filed by Ebony Tate and her family after CPD broke down the door to their home and traumatized them by pointing guns at their family. Police denied pointing the weapons at children inside of the home. This report is sponsored by WeatherBug. Get the fastest local alerts and accurate 24/7 forecasts with WeatherBug. It's easy to use and provides real-time customizable alerts, so the weather never takes you by surprise. Plan every day with confidence. Download the free WeatherBug app from the App Store now.
Catch more money with leading economist Steve Moore.
I'm excited about America. I think things are going really well. I think we've turned a corner here. I think Biden economics is well behind us now. This is a miracle what's going on here. If anything, it's better than I thought it would be. So many good things can happen in the economy. Low inflation, low unemployment rate, consumer confidence up, business confidence up. All of the indicators are pointing north right now.
It's More Money, Saturday at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
When you can no longer handle your own home, Hearthstone Assisted Living at the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights is here to help make life easier. Experience upscale living with comprehensive health services. We offer fine dining, engaging activities, available chaplains, weekly worship services, and quality amenities including a bistro, expansive library, and general store. For a limited time, mention WYLL for an additional discount. Call 847-595-5024 or visit LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny and breezy, reaching a high of 65. As for Saturday, it will be cloudy and significantly colder. In the afternoon, there will be on and off snow and flurries, accumulating a coating to an inch. Temperatures will start at a high of 36, but will drop into the mid-20s. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just connecting the dots to what Trump had to say in his State of the Union address on Tuesday night, and what was being advanced immediately afterwards on Wednesday morning and into the day yesterday, mentioning the war on fraud that he has tapped J.D. Vance to lead, to serve task force for him. The Delilah law. Trump recognizing 5-year-old Delilah Coleman, one of his special guests in the gallery on Tuesday night.
And she's here this evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up. Many, if not most, illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens.
And that was one of those moments that, of course, the neo-Marxists that deigned to attend could not be bothered to respond to positively. They're with standing and recognizing Delilah or applauding the notion that a law would be passed in her name to try to do a better job of preventing what happened to her from happening to other 5-year-olds and Americans generally. This is controversial. People who are conferred CDL licenses should know how to drive a commercial vehicle. That's controversial. Should know how to read traffic signals on the roads of America. Controversial. Just to make sure we're all clear on this, here's what happened to Delilah on June 20th of 2024. She was involved in a multi-car pileup on Highway 395 in San Bernardino County, California, when an 18-wheeler, an 80,000-pound vehicle, driven by Partep Singh, failed to stop in a construction zone due to unsafe speed, possibly falling asleep at the wheel. She sustained a traumatic brain injury, skull fractures, a broken femur, significant pressure on her brain that required part of her skull to be removed. She has since been diagnosed with cerebral palsy and global development delays, and she cannot walk or eat orally, relying on a G-tube for nutrition. Her recovery involves extensive physical, speech, and occupational therapy, and she faces long-term rehabilitation. The truck driver is an undocumented immigrant, an illegal alien, from India, and despite that, he obtained a CDL in California after receiving a federal work authorization, which made him eligible for said license in California and other states. He was arrested by ICE in August of 2025 and faces deportation. That's the young lady and what she's been through that the Dems couldn't be bothered to say, we've got your back, Delilah, and send a message to America that, yeah, we're on board with this because it is insane to otherwise not be. Where the theater was the message.
because it's real. This is not an 5-year-old actress playing the part of a victim of the left's open borders and general lawlessness. This actually happened. Delilah Coleman's a real person. Indiana Senator Jim Banks was on the Senate floor less than 24 hours later, introducing the Delilah law that President Trump wants to see enacted.
In honor of Delilah, President Trump called on Congress to pass the Delilah law, which would bar any state in the country from granting an illegal immigrant a commercial driver's license. Many illegal immigrants cannot speak English or read the basic road signs. They have no business being on our roads, especially not behind the wheel of a semi-truck. Well, today, Mr. President, I'm answering President Trump's call, and today I'm introducing the Delilah law in the United States Senate. The Delilah law not only bars states from giving CDLs to illegal immigrants, but it also revokes all trucking licenses that are currently issued to illegals and mandates that the CDL knowledge and skills test are only given in English. This is common sense.
It is common sense. 312-642-5600 to give us a call or text. In Illinois, again, last week, 1 in 5 was found by the Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy, doing these audits of state CDL programs or compelling the states to do their own audits, hopefully with federal oversight. I'm not sure I'm trusting secretaries of state like Ali G here or those in California or any other blue state, sanctuary state. 1 in 5 non-domiciled CDLs issued by the state of Illinois are illegal. Oh, and by the way, trucking companies pour $300,000 into Ali G's campaign account. Nothing to see there. Remarkable. I've said it before on this topic since we've covered it off and on for months now, since these crashes started happening, and it became clear that you have a systemic problem with respect to CDL license issuance around the country. In Illinois, you would think we would have particular sensitivity. I'll mention it again. Once upon a time when Illinois was a less barbaric state, a scandal involving people on the road who shouldn't have been on the road because of corruption at the highest levels of Illinois state government. Once upon a time, that took down a governor. His name was George Ryan, for those of you unfamiliar. Unfortunately, it took the deaths of Scott and Janet Willis's children for the corruption that normally is treated with, the city that works. Corruption is just one of those things that we do in Chicago and Illinois. It took the deaths of those Willis children to make it real for so many, but at least then it was real. And prosecutors interceded, and a lot of Republicans turned their back on George Ryan, me being one of them. And he was gone. And a lot of his flunkies with him. Good. Today? I mean, is it even part of any conversation you're having about politics in this state? About the rule of law in this country? I'm talking specifically about Illinois here. It's going to take, more children being killed or traumatically injured like Delilah for it to resonate? For all of you goo-goos, all of your goo-goo friends in the suburbs, the enlightened class, They're so empathetic. They're so concerned with lifting others up, they tell us. They're so focused on marginal populations. I know because they preen about it, carry on about it on social media with their little yard signs and their lapel pins all the time. So where are they here? Or, what's the counter argument? I'd love to hear it. I'm sure it'd be at least as entertaining as the counter arguments to voter ID laws. What's the argument for conferring CDL licenses on people in this country illegally who don't know how to read our signs, obey our traffic laws, and don't know how to drive an 80,000-pound vehicle? I want to hear the arguments that says that it's not a big deal. They got to work? Got to put food on the table? Give me something. Brian in Wheatfield, Indiana.
Hey, good morning, Dan. One of the biggest things is these brokers and shippers need to be held to account. You can have a Dan Prof legit trucking company with the right paperwork. You accept a load from a broker, but then you send anybody you want to go pick up that load. So every time something like this happens, it needs to go backwards to who put this guy on this load and all that stuff. And that's another way to stop this. And I'm out here every day trying to avoid these guys. It's like I avoid 10, 12 collisions a day from other truckers.
I'll tell you,
I hope it gets cleaned up.
I'll tell you what, I'm 100% with you. And an enterprising prosecutor in a case like this will move past the illegal alien driver and will indict whoever put them on the road for murder too, depraved indifference to human life. Because that's what, if you knowingly put someone on the road in a vehicle as an agent of you, the principal, then you are engaged in reckless disregard for the lives of others, and you should be criminally prosecuted as such. Send somebody away for 15 to life, and maybe we'll start getting people's ears perking up a little bit on the provider side. 100%. Thanks for the call, Brian. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Good morning, Dan. I think a lot of people are just giving up on what's happening with all the horrific things that's going on. I mean, starting with Hillary Clinton. Nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to the Mar-a-Lago raid. What's going on with Tim Walz? He's going to retire with a pension and become a professor for $150,000 a year.
Well, I know, but how about here? Like, it's one of those things. Like, I can't. It's tough to get to Tim Walz or Hillary Clinton from Hoffman Estates, but it's a lot less challenging to get to Ali G. And I mean that in a political sense or a legal sense. I mean, to me, I got to tell you, the sort of like throw up your hands. Well, what is the alternative?
Well, you tell me then, why was half the chamber sitting during all these mentions of things that are going to try to be done for all these criminals, and what's going on with all the illegal Medicaid and stuff like that? They sat there. That's half of our government. So you're looking at them.
Well, I know. Thanks for the call, Joe. I know, and the Northwest Suburbs is represented by roll call votes for the neo-Marxist party here. Neo-Marxist roll call votes for their party here. That's in charge. That has a supermajority that now dominates the suburbs. The people calling in from Hoffman Estates to say, what's up with our federal government? What's up with your village government? What's up with your local jerkwater state representative? How big are state legislative districts? 100,000 people? I mean, I'm not putting this on any one person individually, but just like as an intellectual exercise here. I can't do anything about what's happening in my community where I spend most of my time and where I pay most of my taxes and where I have most of my interaction with government, because I can't seem to get organized to get a better legislator in a district of 100,000 people, at least 40% of which are on my side, at least in places like the suburbs. I can't, that's too big a task. But let's focus all our attention about, right-sizing and addressing all of the macro problems in a country of 350 million people on a planet of 8 billion. Does that seem like the highest, best use of your limited time and resources for impact in a positive way in your life? No, it's easier to be a spectator and spend all of your time on these touch point events like the State of the Union address, where we're going to talk about Trump and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib sparring back and forth for the next 5 days until we move on to the next sort of, national moral panic / bread / circus. I mean, how did it happen? How did this state of affairs happen in, say, suburbia in Chicago? Maybe it's because we were not particularly good stewards when we did have people like George Ryan in power. The 25 years where it was Republican governors, the 10 years in the 90s, and really into the 2000s where you still had Republican control of the state Senate, Pate Phillip years. And this is not, a particular commentary on Pate or it's just like, so what did we do when we had power? How do we lose it? So what do we need to do to get it back, to hold people accountable, starting with ourselves and people in our party? Have we looked at the leadership of our party lately? Have we looked at the people we nominate? Have we considered why we can't win statewide elections? Like for 20 years, minus a unicorn event when you had a goofy Pat Quinn and a near billionaire have that, 2014 moment. But that was a catastrophe, too, because Ronner was completely unprepared over his skis. And actually, it was half a step forward and it ended up being 2.5 steps back. So what did that accomplish? I mean, I talk on this show a lot about national politics, but I also spend time talking about what's happening in other states, not because I'm more concerned about what's happening in Maine or Minnesota than Illinois, but because you need some perspective. Let's pick our heads up and take a look around and see what's going on, good, bad, and ugly in other states. Similar, how are they responding? Are there any insights to be gleaned? Are there any dangers looming on the horizon? Because we know, if, at least back in the day, if there was a big government gambit introduced in New York City, then Ed Burke would be introducing it in Chicago 5 minutes later, that sort of thing. Matt, Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I was thinking about how easy it is just to cast the net of evil over these people, but the reality of it is, whether it's the politicians or those people that support them, you can look at, it's usually human will that's driven by pride or power, control, narcissism, resentment, hate, that really motivates these people. And, as a believer, I believe that, evil will tempt and really amplify those positions that these people have, but it's appalling to see how these people are so heartless and soulless. If nothing else, they have no heart and soul. And that family that was killed under George Ryan, they were Southsiders, and the remaining brother, thank God, is doing well. But it is just heartbreaking. And if I may, what you were just talking about relative to where are they? Look at the strong conservatives. Forget about Republicans, but conservatives in this state. They're fleeing. I hope to be gone from my family in 2 more years. You, Sean, God rest his soul, Adam Angiansky with a loud voice as well. But people are tired. They're leaving, and for good reason. I hate to say we're running from the problems, but we're not. We have to look what's best for ourselves and our families and our loved ones. It's hard to leave, but the plan is to get out of here. Have a good day, Dan.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, well, I get it. You can only fight for so long, I suppose. You can only put in the fight for so long. And, if you don't see anybody picking up something sharp to fight with you, rhetorically speaking, of course, sharp like a rapier wit, then you say, well, what am I doing here? But, so then it becomes incumbent upon other people to breach the gap if it's to be breached. Maybe it isn't. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yeah, as you've said many times, Dan, people and companies respond to incentives. And once these companies are held accountable for hiring these illegals and they're prosecuted and fined, they'll stop doing it. You have to stop where it actually begins. I think that's really the answer at the end of the day.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ben. And who's going to do it in Illinois? Allie G? I had a caller from who retired state police. I think she was going to say that state police used to do these CDL checks, but they don't do it anymore. Not surprised. Does anybody in Illinois? No. Does anybody care? Doesn't seem like it. Is this a complicated issue? It is not. Am I going to keep asking myself obvious questions and answering them? Yes, I am. Because I feel like and I'm sure you feel like too, like you're talking to yourself. This is why we have this little community here on Chicago's Morning Answer, and I appreciate it. But I mean, this can't be made an issue. I mean, do we have to have Delilah's dad trot her out all the time to shame us into acting in a sensible manner? Do we have to have Joe Abraham trot out pictures of his daughter Katie all the time to shame us into pushing to end sanctuary state? Do we have to force the victims to do all the heavy lifting? Can decent people do some of it, please? It is now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Cuba is calling them terrorists who came from the U.S. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The 4 people shot dead and 6 wounded right off the coast in a speedboat registered in Florida.
It is highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that.
And Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. will do its own investigation.
The Cuba government says that when this boat entered their waters, a border guard approached them wanting to get more information, and that's when the shots were fired. It happened about a mile off of Cuba's north coast. Cuba's Interior Ministry said the 10 passengers were Cuban nationals living in the U.S., and some had a known history of criminal and violent activity. And they claimed the group wanted to carry out an infiltration for terrorist purposes.
Fox's Stephanie Bennett. The U.S. and Iran are talking again now in Geneva indirectly through a mediator as President Trump demands Iran scale back its nuclear program while a U.S. military buildup continues in the region.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has told state TV that weapons of mass destruction were banned by the country's supreme leader. That clearly means, says President Pezeshkian, that Tehran won't develop nuclear weapons. But experts say Iran has since enriched uranium well beyond the level needed for a nuclear power program.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The same American envoys in those talks will sit down with the Ukrainian officials today, still trying to end Russia's war. There's more than 2020 election fallout at the FBI. The director's angry about the scrutiny he was put under before he took charge of the bureau.
Fox confirms the FBI seized Kash Patel's and now White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles' phone records in 2022 and 2023 as part of the investigations into President Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 election results and retaining classified documents when he left office. Patel and Wiles were Trump aides named in investigations. Patel calls the subpoenas of his phone records outrageous and alarming. Meantime, at least 10 FBI employees who worked on the classified documents case were fired Wednesday.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 24 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A judge has ruled that Chicago overcharged drivers for city sticker and parking violations. Fox Business' Ashley Webster reports.
2 residents sued the city saying, look, these tickets just created mounting amounts of debt
And, of course, all those late fees were added on. They say that's not right. And guess what? A judge agreed, saying it went too far and ruled that the city violated state law by charging penalties that exceeded a $250 cap on municipal fines. The judge's ruling impacts more than 1 million tickets issued between 2012 and 2022. If it stands, Chicago would have to refund nearly $70 million in overcharges, plus another $34 million in interest.
The judge also erased almost $100 million in unpaid fines. The city says it's considering an appeal. Governor J.B. Pritzker says $21 million in state capital funds will unlock more than $83 million in private investment to restore a historic hotel in the Pullman State Historic Site on Chicago's South Side. According to the governor's office, the public-private partnership will redevelop the 1881 Hotel Florence, Pullman Car Works building, and surrounding grounds into a boutique hotel, dining destination, and cultural and performing arts hub. And as if traffic wasn't bad enough already, get ready for self-driving cars here in Chicago. Officials with Waymo say they're in negotiations to bring the self-driving cars to the streets of Chicago. And while the driverless cars are not yet authorized to drive here, officials say the talks are in the works to finalize the plans to bring the service to Chicago. Waymo officials say they plan to start mapping out the Chicago city streets in the near future. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search American Beam and Steel to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com and by Center Guard Plumbing. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
The following is a paid political announcement.
There's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me.
That was Pritzker's challenge to President Trump. But who are Pritzker's people? They're the more than 1,700 illegal alien predators he helped escape from ICE. They're the illegal aliens whose health care, rent, and college tuition you pay for. You can't afford to stay because Pritzker makes you pay for his people. Well, I have a message for you, Governor. I'll be coming for you and going through you. Your days and the days of sanctuary living for your people are over. I'm Ted Dabrowski, your conservative candidate for governor, and I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary on March 17th. Paid for by Ted for Illinois.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. 14 minutes inbound Edens, Lake Cook to Montrose. Also, Edens outbound 14 minutes Montrose to Lake Cook. A 17-minute drive inbound Kennedy O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound Kennedy Byrne Interchange to O'Hare, a 23-minute travel time. 13 minutes inbound Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Overnight construction clearing near the Byrne Interchange on the outbound Eisenhower has you slightly delayed. Old Post Office to Wolf, it's 16 minutes. Inbound Stevenson 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 24 minutes. Outbound 21 minutes. 17 minutes on the Dan Ryan inbound 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at almostfreeteeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. I'm KT, AM 560. The Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from the Air Ride Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny and breezy, reaching a high of 65. As for Saturday, it will be cloudy and significantly colder. In the afternoon, there will be on and off snow and flurries, accumulating a coating to an inch. Temperatures will start at a high of 36, but will drop into the mid-20s. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Let's talk about the Bears and where they may be playing football in the not-too-distant future. Is it going to be in Illinois or is it going to be in Indiana? Notice I didn't say is it going to be in Chicago or Illinois or Indiana, because it's not going to be in Chicago. I think it's pretty clear when the communications have stopped, but also I'm talking between like Kevin Warren and BLM Brandon. But also, more notably, legislation that has been pushed in Springfield, House Bill 910, for those of you scoring at home, this mega project bill. An amendment to it was made by State Representative Cam Buckner that outlines tax breaks on infrastructure the state would provide to entice the Bears to build a new stadium in Arlington Heights. So when you have a Chicago neo-Marxist legislator introducing an amendment to sweeten the deal in suburban Arlington Heights, that probably tells you that Soldier Field is no longer in the running, in case you were curious. I mean, it never was. Not after the Bears purchased the old Arlington Park property. But for those still, holding a candle for Soldier Field, I'm sorry to report that that's the state of play. Jelly Belly's still talking tough, even as state legislators at his behest, to be sure, are moving to do exactly what I said, sweeten the deal. Jelly Belly talking to either Chris Hayes or Rachel Maddow. I cannot tell them apart on MSN.
I'm not going to be shaken down. And I have set out some very clear guidelines. And my guidelines are, we're not going to fleece the taxpayers of the state of Illinois. We're not going to let the Bears do that.
No, I'm going to do that. I fleece the taxpayers of the state of Illinois. Yeah, start horning in my action, McCaskies.
Seems like they're going to raise 4 or 5 different taxes on people. I don't think the people of Indiana have any idea what they're in for. And they're going to pay for a stadium for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, that's what I love. That part. You know, Jelly Belly is very concerned about the taxpayers in the Hoosier State. He's very, very concerned. He's trying to stoke the revolution in Lake and Porter counties. That's the play? Where do you want the Bears to go? Do you care? 312-642-5600 to give us a call or text on that question. It's funny because I saw that clip after I got this email from a listener who always sends me good stuff, but golly, I mean, the whole Chicago is a hick town thing. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know where we get off, referring to Hoosiers as hayseeds. I mean, such a parochial one-horse town, sort of metaphysically, is Chicago. I got this email. Dan, you might poo-poo John Williams generally. Yes, I do, because he is a hack who could bore the Roman numerals off a tombstone. And only in a town like Chicago could that guy be on the radio for as long as he has been. I know it's easy listening for octogenarians over at WGN or whatever he's doing now, podcasting or something. I don't know. But good grief. God. They're just drones. It's been this way forever. Well, at least since, you actually had media personalities. I should say you actually had personalities in media. But you got to go back to, I don't know, Johnny B. and Steve Dahl for actual people with personalities and fully formed opinions, even if you disagreed with them, and a little bit of entertainment flair. I mean, I'm not saying I'm, Johnny Carson over here, but at least I have fully formed opinions, even if my personality is lacking. You could at least have that. One of the two at minimum. John Williams has neither. Anyway, I digress. Dan, you might poo-poo John Williams generally, but he brought up some excellent reasons why it's entirely stupid for Indiana to propose using tax dollars to pay for public bonds to build a stadium in the state. Indiana should understand the state will very likely overspend to pay the Bears to move to Indiana because it doesn't realize the financial pressure the Bears are under to relocate out of Soldier Field. All Hoosier reps see as revenue the state would receive without recognizing the debt that Lake and Porter County residents would be required to pay for many decades. Wow. I mean, I don't mean to, give the hi-hat to my friend here who emailed me, but step back, take a deep breath, think about it. That's the same rap from John Williams that you heard from J.B. Pritzker, because that's where he gets his talking points. Whatever the leftists in charge, the central office, they get their talking points and they recite them. He goes on to talk to Chris Hayes or Rachel Maddow, whichever one it was. And then John Williams goes on to talk about what he said on Rachel Maddow's or Chris Matthews, or Chris Hayes. So concerned about Northwest Indiana taxpayers. For goodness sakes. This just in, breaking news. Publicly financed stadiums are a bad deal for taxpayers. I mean, do you really think that people don't know that? And anybody who in Chicago doesn't know it after Comiskey Park under Thompson, the deal that he cut with Reinsdorf, boy, then you just like the willful blindness is strong in you. Of course it's a bad deal. Oh, by the way, there are Republican candidates running for governor. This came up in the Fox News or, Fox Chicago News roundtable between three of the governor candidates, Bailey's not showing up. He's Rose Garden strategy, living off the $50 million. Unfortunately, I was a part of putting behind him 4 years ago, but I'll get to that in a moment. This is not, it's, you understand what this is about for Indiana. This is about cultural and political status. The Chicago Bears relocating to Northwest Indiana, it's cultural and political status. And because the state is flush, because it's been well run ever since Mitch Daniels rode to town, they can afford to do this. Maybe some Lake and Porter County residents would disagree with me from their own personal perspective, but writ large they can. Because it's a state that's growing and attracting business, including a lot of business from adjacent counties in Illinois. So there's opportunities to make a gambit like this for the cultural and political status value. That's what the politicians are thinking about for certain. And the excitement among residents, and people will pay more, just like people will pay here, despite the fact that this is a dying state, that it is not a flush state. It is repelling people and businesses. But the Bears, if we don't even have our bread and circuses anymore, then what do we have in Chicagoland? You're losing something iconic that's part of your larger identity. And for the Hoosiers to take that from us would be a huge cultural and political score for them. You think this is all about like green eye shades bottom line? Is that how taxpayers, generally speaking, behave? Of course not. Is that how voters behave? Of course not. I mean, can you get John Williams and J.B. Pritzker worried about Northwest Indiana taxpayers? Doesn't that tell you something? Good Lord. Mike in Hammond.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. I do live in Hammond, and I don't care one way or the other whether the Bears come or not, but it makes all the sense in the world for the Bears to leave Illinois and Chicago. All the red tape to get this thing done, the greasing of the palms. Just look at the Obama library, just as an example. Twice the cost, twice the time to get it built, all the aggravation, the tax savings. And it'll be a boom for the area, hotels, restaurants, you name it. It's kind of a dead area where it's going. It's literally 10 miles south of Soldier Field right now on the same road where they're proposing to build it. So that's my opinion on it.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah. You know, it adds to the bread and circuses that are offered in the Hoosier State, and that's what people are mainly interested in. I mean, it's just funny to me that, and this is coming from somebody who is interested in these discussions and ideas, but I at least recognize that very few other people are. You think, say, Illinois taxpayers care about $200 billion in unfunded public sector pension liabilities? You think anybody talking about that in your social circles? I mean, it's only been this nagging issue for 50 years. Actually, Paul Simon, almost 60 years. Paul Simon wrote a good editorial about the teachers' pensions faltering back in like 1971 when he was lieutenant governor, or maybe it was in the General Assembly. But I mean, you don't understand what's the play is here. This is all about culture and status. It is not dollars and cents. Not for the hoi polloi. It's not. Neil LaGrange.
A couple things, Dan. First off, the Bears are an economic engine. All right.
Yeah, mostly for the McCaskies. They're an economic engine. But go ahead.
This has been lingering now for 3 years. Didn't they buy Arlington Park about 3 years ago or so? Mm-hmm. One of the first things, this just tells you how, just Pritzker doesn't get it. The first thing out of his mouth, he said that don't expect a nickel from the Bears, or don't expect a nickel from the taxpayers. All right, and then it just languished up there, and then the local tax base was against it for a while, and then the last set of things where Pritzker was talking about. He said, we're trying to keep the Bears from raising their ticket prices. That's a typical Democrat trying to tell a business how to run. All right. Now, the other thing I have a question about, Dan, and you might know this, is how's the Lucas Oil Field doing in that field that they did in Indianapolis? I don't know anything about that, but
yeah,
how did that go?
We talked about it with Mitch Daniels. What's today? Thursday? I don't know. Monday. This week we talked about it with him, and I don't know the particulars of it either. But he was and he was part of negotiating that deal.
Okay.
So it seems like it went pretty well because there was not just the stadium, but there was a convention center, and obviously it was a dome, so you could do events year round. It wasn't just 8 football games and so on and so forth.
And right, and then the other thing that they were talking about, the way that they structured the deal in Indiana was that the Bears are going to lease the stadium, which will then prevent them having to pay property taxes.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't. Thanks for the call, Neil. I don't think that. I think the only way that you get them in Hammond is if they own the stadium and they own the property, because otherwise they could build Bearsville and have the land and the value of that in Arlington Heights. So I assume that it's going to have to be a 1-for-1 on that, and you sweeten it by saying, well, we'll sell bonds to help with the financing of it. But ultimately, and then, some sort of formula in terms of paying back the bondholders. But I assume that this is going to be akin to what the Ricketts have done with Wrigleyville. But the question is, they did it privately. Will you have this done completely privately with infrastructure support and property tax relief, or will you do it public-private, as seems they're proposing to do in Indiana, setting up a sports facilities authority to issue bonds? But the bottom line is, even if the things are, even if it's a modest net negative, or even or to a modest net benefit, it's not about the money. I'm telling you, it's about status. It's all about status. I mean, if you had the potential that it would be a white elephant, that would be a complete catastrophe, obviously they wouldn't do it. But the Bears and their fan base and the history and the popularity of the NFL, and even, maybe trying to sort of instigate an in-state rivalry of sorts between the Bears and the Colts, I don't know. But there's just so much upside given how much money is sloshing around in professional sports, and particularly the NFL, and with an iconic franchise like the Bears. I mean, it is all the status play and the legacy. They brought the Bears we were the ones who brought the Bears to Indiana. Just like what Jelly Belly and BLM Brandon are worried about, we're the ones who lost the Bears to Indiana. And that will hang around their necks if that occurs, and they know it, which is why Jelly Belly is moving even while he's trying to cover it with his pathetic tough guy rhetoric. Rusty in Rosemont.
Hello, Dan. Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to make sure that people don't get mad at the Bears for moving to Indiana, because it's not the Bears doing. It's the state of Indiana, who's been so well run for decades, versus the state of Illinois, which is a mess. And any business, any person, the dollars are so large to leave Illinois and go in Indiana, you'd be crazy not to do it. But one example is the real estate taxes, and maybe you can confirm this, but
hard capped.
Most NFL teams pay $0 in real estate taxes. One team pays $7 million, and the Bears have to pay $100 million in real estate taxes. Have you heard that?
Oh, you mean in Chicago?
Yeah, in Chicago, Arlington Heights.
Oh, I thanks for the call. I don't know what the projected tax bill would be, and they're certainly paying property taxes with their lease at the Park District, because just like any leaseholder, you pass the property taxes on to your tenant. So yeah, but the property tax, first of all, it's just the stability of the business environment there, and on property taxes, they've got the 1, 2, 3 hard cap. In Indiana, excuse me. Wish we had in Illinois. Ted Dabrowski's proposed it for Illinois. 1% for residential, 2%. Is it 1%? Why am I blanking this? So 1% residential, 2% rural, and then 3% commercial, industrial. I think I have that right. But anyway, it's hard capped. It's not these phony baloney property tax caps in scare quotes that we have here. Hard capped, you have to have a capital event, the same thing that California has, interestingly. They got through a referendum back in the 80s. So that protects your equity, as opposed to in Illinois, where your equity is diluted with each passing day because your property is just collateral for somebody else's government pension. Jim in Crown Point.
I'm in Indiana, and I wouldn't mind the Bears coming here for the simple fact this would be the legacy of the mayor and the governor of Illinois. It'd be a beautiful thing. Our education system is in the crapper in Illinois. Kids can't read, and this is the outrage. A stadium, a football stadium, that's the outrage.
Thanks for the call, Jim. That's why I said it's all the bread and circuses. I'm sorry, do you have people in your social circles talking about 4th and 8th grade reading and math proficiency levels in Illinois? Anybody want to chime in on that? No? You're not talking about math and reading proficiency levels in K through 12 government schools in Illinois? I'm shocked. George in Naperville.
Yeah, what's it about, Dan? You go after the taxpayers in the Hoosier state, you have to go through Pritzker. Those are his people.
Uh-huh. Thanks, George. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will, but get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Naumann & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Naumann & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
AM 560, The Answer.
A text from 630. Can you explain why or how taxpayers should have to pay a dime for that private enterprise. I don't get how they can tax people for a business that you pay to go to. Well, yeah, well, the issuance of bonds, as I said, that are taxpayer-backed. But it's pretty straightforward as the how. The why? Because you give the people what they want. That's what they want. They want sports teams, and they want to go to sporting events, and they want to cheer for the root for the home team, and so on and so forth. I mean, come on. I get the the principled position on the matter, but we're not talking about the principled position. You can't talk about it if you want to understand it. You have to talk about the cultural mentality and what the incentives are here, what the incentive structure is, the incentives for politicians, the rewards for politicians, the potential perils for politicians like Pritzker and BLM Brandon, were they to lose the Bears. That's the prism that you have to look through. What do the taxpayers have to do with any of this? Taxpayers are spare parts for the politicos, particularly in Illinois, much less so in Indiana. But like I say, in Indiana, they're happy with the direction of the state. Things are going well. They're flush. They're growing. They can afford a luxury like trying to woo the Bears. So you have this perfect confluence of one state that death spiraling and the other state that's been rising like a phoenix for 25 years. That presents opportunities. Coming up at 6:36, this is a doozy. Always innovating. The Chicago Public Schools are featuring early voting. No, not a simulation, not a civic exercise. You can early vote at Chicago Public Schools for the kids. The kids can early vote there, and they have kids as election judges. What could possibly go wrong? 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 27 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Chicago police are investigating a shooting on the south side. Fox's Ted Linder has more.
5 people were injured in the shooting that happened Wednesday night around 7:30 at a gas station in the Woodlawn neighborhood. The Chicago police spokesperson said the 5 were taken to hospitals and that they were investigating multiple crime scenes. The details and circumstances of the shooting remain unclear. The investigation continues. Ted Linder, Fox News.
A former school custodian is in custody for allegedly filming students and staff in a school bathroom. Officials say 46-year-old David Garcia Espinal was arrested in Los Angeles after being on the run for 6 years. Authorities say the man had worked at the Sunset Ridge School when the incident occurred. Officials say Garcia Espinal has a criminal background and a long pattern of inappropriate behavior, something that the school's third-party background check companies failed to discover prior to him being hired. Garcia Espinal is currently waiting extradition from Los Angeles to face the charges. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Larry Elder compares the numbers.
And then you get this. Well, Obama deported people on the border, so they were really just returns. That's not true either. If you add up the people that Obama deported on the border, and he did, then his total deportations are not 3 million, they're 5 million, which means Obama deported a bunch of people, not at the border, but in the interior, just as Trump is doing right now.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
When someone you love is living with memory loss, finding the right care isn't just important, it's everything. At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, memory care isn't an add-on, it's all we do.
When Mom moved into Terra Vista, everything changed. She's safe, engaged, and surrounded by people who truly understand dementia. And I finally get to just be her daughter again.
Terra Vista was built specifically for caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, with secure indoor and outdoor spaces, innovative therapies, and a community that feels like home. Residents stay active, connected, and respected every single day.
And the best part? Mom can live with dignity, and I have peace of mind.
If memory care is in your future, choose the community designed for it. Choose Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace. Schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you. Terra Vista. where memory care lives.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
At Access One, we don't take chances with your technology, and we put $10,000 behind our assessment to prove it. Our mission is to strengthen your IT security and resilience, backed by over 30 years of experience, serving organizations across the Midwest. And here's the deal. If we can't find even one measurable way to improve your technology or security posture based on NIST or CIS security frameworks, we'll write you a check for $10,000. This free confidential risk assessment is available for businesses with 25 to 500 employees and is designed to validate your IT performance against recognized security regulations. No gimmicks, just a confident promise from a partner who knows technology. Ready to take the challenge? Visit accessoneInc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555. Certain conditions apply. See details online.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hotberg Traffic Center with traffic and service of Straight Talk Wireless. Eden's inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. A 23-minute ride on the inbound Kennedy O'Hare to Burn Interchange. Also a 23-minute drive Kennedy outbound Burn Interchange to O'Hare. 17 minutes inbound Eisenhower Wolf to the old post office. On the outbound, it's 13 minutes. Inbound Stevenson from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, a 27-minute drive time. You're heavier approaching the Dan Ryan. Outbound Stevenson Lakeshore Drive to 355, 22 minutes, and a 19-minute ride Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Every now and then you find a deal that actually feels like a win. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get more and pay less. Now that's a good deal. No contracts, no credit checks, no surprises. All on Verizon's 5G network. Find it at the same place you've always found straightforward prices exclusively at Walmart and at straighttalk.com. I'm KT, AM 560. The Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will bring mostly sunny skies and breezy conditions with the high reaching 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Now I know why JB and BJ, and they are partners. Now I know why they really want the Bears to stay. Because the Bears help them wash votes. The Bears participate in voter fraud schemes. At least the infrastructure set up. This is something. This is really innovative, you know? Tell you, those fraudsters are always innovating. In partnership, I'm reading from a press release from the Cook County Clerk's Office website. In case you think I'm making this up, it is so absurd you might think that. But again, as I've said many times, you should know by now that Chicago is impossible to parody. In partnership with the Chicago Bears organization, the Cook County Clerk's Office is launching a first-of-its-kind high school early voting program, bringing official early voting sites to more than 20 suburban high schools across the county at the start of early voting for the March 17th primary election. 24 Cook County high schools are being trained as official election judges. Students from 24 Cook County high schools are being trained as official election judges, will operate on-campus early voting sites at their schools, giving their peers the opportunity to participate in a real election environment at the start of the early voting period. Monica Gordon, she's the Cook County clerk, I'm sure you didn't know. This is not a simulation or a classroom exercise. This is real democracy in action. It's real something in action. That's for sure. She goes on, by training students to run official early voting sites in their own schools, we're giving young people real responsibility, real trust, and a meaningful role in the democratic process, small d. But what they really mean is big D, because that's what this is, the big D democratic process, not the small d. The Defenders of Democracy program. Oh, man. Where do I get a t-shirt? Defenders of Democracy. Do you see what they did there? Isn't this fun? Will take place at the participating 24 Cook County high schools today, February 26th. The innovative partnership blends civic engagement, youth leadership, and hands-on learning to place students on the front lines of democracy while expanding access to early voting. It's also designed to highlight how preparation and teamwork on and off the field. I hope you didn't miss that sports metaphor, because it's a clever one. Help make the small d, although it's really big D, democratic process work. It's a process. You're getting processed. There's no question about it. In addition, or as part of, I should say, the initiative, the Bears will provide Bears-branded items to the students participating and sharing a brief video message from a Bears player encouraging student involvement in the small d, but they mean big D, Democrat process. Don't let my sighing dissuade you. Do you approve? I mean, it's Bears partnered, so that must mean it's a great thing. Go, the Bears. Right? You like? 312-642-5600. Give us a call or text. I mean, I'm trying to search for any potential pitfalls here. I certainly can't find any. Can you? Hey, it's for the kids. Give the kids a stake in their society. You know they're our future, Dan. Don't you know that? Of course I do. Yeah. Mike in Union.
Of course, it's for the children, Dan. And what could possibly go wrong with the teachers union supervising all this voting? And then just a real quick comment. Earlier, you were talking about 4th and 8th grade reading in schools. Pull your kids out of public schools. Don't let the government apparatus just run your children into the ground. That's the thing to do. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. I paid for that totalitarian re-education camp, and gosh darn it, by good, I'm sending my kids there. I paid for it. Okay. Think through the logic of that statement. Text from Dave in Geneva on the Defenders of Democracy. Sounds like they're putting their D in our A yet again. Hi-oh. Ooh, a little racy. Ron, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I guarantee they have not read and cannot read a book about democracy. I'm not sure if they can even spell the word. This is a joke. Have a good day.
But Ron, the Bears. The Bears
damn.
are involved. The Bears.
And you know what? I don't care where the Bears go. I despise the Bears. Then let me just make one quick comment about that. And I hear grown men. You know what? Use your entertainment money for something else. How about taking your family or you go to the museum? There's so many. Those are the real attractions in Chicago. So
Come
thanks,
on.
Dan.
Go to the museum. God, go to the museum. What? You sound like me. I'm gonna take your kid to the Lyric Opera, which I would do if I had one. But no. Defenders of democracy, and you'll get like a Caleb Williams nail polish or something. It's fun. Is that I haven't voted in Illinois in a couple of cycles. Is there still a age requirement to vote in Illinois? I'm uncertain. I assume not, given this program, but I just was asking. If somebody has a friend, a teacher, their kid is at one of these schools, can somebody please tell me what happens with the first student or to the first student or teacher who says, I'll take a Republican ballot? Can somebody just tell me what happens? How quickly a mob descends and beats them to the ground? I would just like to, hear the postmortem on pulling a Republican ballot at one of the defenders of democracy early voting sites. A text from 708, in the words of Sebastian Maniscalco, aren't you embarrassed? Ironically, from Cook County, Sebastian Maniscalco. Yeah. Text from 847, we can't have voter ID because election judges can't read. Yeah, well, that's why I was asking about, is there like some sort of age requirement still in effect here? Maybe these are the sorts of innovative partnerships in places like Cook County that inspired Mike Lee to push the SAVE Act for federal elections. And, of course, this was a topic of conversation after Tuesday night's State of the Union address, because Trump took up the SAVE Act straight away.
Nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard.
Memdani.
Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens.
Well, that is not the position of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is one of those people I like to go to if I want to undermine an argument that I oppose. I just let her make it, and I feel much more confident about the persuasive position that I'm in. You know what I mean?
What else have they done? The SAVE Act. You know what the SAVE Act would do? Require that people show a birth certificate or a passport to register to vote. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's something like 40% of Americans don't have those documents. Married women, if you changed your name when you got married, it's going to be different than what's on your birth certificate, right? And what that's going to do in terms of complicating the ability of women to register to vote. And so this is happening in real time to suppress and obstruct the ability of people to vote. And then my concern, frankly, Aaron, is that when we saw what happened in Minneapolis, I think we need to really understand that in addition to everything that was obvious about it, it might have been basically a demonstration and a beta testing of militarizing the streets of America to intimidate people against voting and using federal officials to intimidate people to not vote.
Yeah. What she said. Thank you for that. Now, just an update on that SAVE Act, if we can be somewhat sober for just a moment. We got some complications with respect to putting the neo-Marxists in the position of having to do the talking filibuster. John Thune, who your President Trump called on during his State of the Union address to get this done, basically said yesterday, I'm not quite to where I need to be to get it done because now we'll have a vote, but having a vote is not good enough. A performative vote so everybody can say I voted for the SAVE Act. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about moving it out of the Senate to the president's desk. And that's where Thune's coming up short right now.
There are a couple things about that. One is once we get on, if we were to go down that path, it's very hard to pivot and get back to open up the government. I frankly think we ought to. We need to make sure that DHS, TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, all those agencies are funded. And so I'm hopeful there will be a breakthrough on that. That's going to require some, obviously cooperation from the Democrats, which we haven't seen a lot of so far. But we want to get to the SAVE Act. We also, as I mentioned, we've got a housing bill that we can pivot back and forth to if we get a deal to open up the government. That's harder to do once you're in the throes of a talking filibuster. The talking filibuster issue is one on which there is not certainly a unified Republican conference, and there would have to be. If you go down that path, you're talking about the need to table what are going to be numerous amendments and an ability to keep 50 Republicans unified pretty much on every single vote. And there isn't support for doing that at this point. As I've said, and we will get on it and we will have a vote on the SAVE Act. The context of that, the process in which we consider it is still an open question, but one that we're having conversations about, but clearly not a unified position, at least among Republicans in the Senate.
But it sounds like that vote might be subject to a 60-vote threshold. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's obviously a very real possibility.
Yeah, no, John Thune doing what he does, which is not inspire confidence. By the way, on these arguments, I've been getting people texting in. Is she saying women are too dumb to have a driver's license? Text from 815. Yeah. Just like farmers don't have access to like Office Depots, Kinko's, fax machines, so they can't fax in their ID. But it's even worse for non-farmers who don't even know how to get an ID because they don't know where driving license facilities are. I think Amy Horowitz nicely demonstrated the folly of that in interviewing a bunch of black residents of Harlem. But all of these arguments, we were just bring your marriage certificate if you're married. Yeah, I know. There's all sorts of overrides and pass-throughs if you're not already registered to vote. And by the way, who of, marital age is not registered to vote, particularly in the era of motor voter in which they would have grown up. But I digress. All of these things. Birth certificates, this birth certificate argument they make over and over again. Oh, you don't have one? You don't have a current copy? It's funny. I'm just sticking right on the Cook County Clerk's website, Monica Gordon's website here, where I was reading about this wonderful Defenders of Democracy program with early voting in Cook County high schools. What could go wrong? Nothing. Birth certificates, you can request a birth certificate, 5 ways to do it, or you can order online, you can order by phone, you can order by mail, you can go to a local currency exchange, you can visit the Cook County Clerk's office at one of their locations, all really straightforward here. Birth records are free of charge for verified homeless, domestic violence victims, as well as the formerly incarcerated. If you have played by the rules and have a stake in society, then you're going to pay. Of course you are. But at least you have 5 ways to do so. So this is not a document that is otherwise unobtainable, by the way, if you had to actually have it. But the idea of engaging in a substantive argument in response to the blather of the Kamala Harrises of the world, you understand the futility there. If the answer to Kamala Harris and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and all of them, if it doesn't immediately pop in your mind, then we have already lost you. There's no getting to you. Come back again when your synapses are firing for an adult discussion. Until then, go over there and eat paste. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Hey, Dan. Well, first of all, I just want to say I have an advantage because I didn't lose my birth certificate when I was 7 years old, like Gavin Newsom did.
Yeah, well, it was a hard scrabble life. Yeah, he had to make mac and cheese. He was toughing it out in the playgrounds of South Central and so forth. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was privileged. I didn't face those things.
Yeah.
And also they know what a woman is here. So I had to get all those things when I got TSA pre-check and when I had to get real ID. I had to produce all of those things. And guess what? I did it because I want to drive and travel.
Well, you're a pioneer, Deborah. You broke through the glass ceiling for women accessing TSA pre. Yes. Thanks for the call. That's what I'm saying. It's just so silly that I feel embarrassed to have to articulate an argument. And even more embarrassed that we have a majority in the Senate that can't seem to get their act together to move this along. Party discipline. Talk about it often. When you don't have it, what happens is you lose your opportunity to have control of a particular branch of government. And then you lose your ability to even compete to have control of a particular branch of government. That's the story of Illinois. Something that Republicans on the Hill may want to heed. Look at the bad examples and figure out how we don't go down that same path. Because Thune and Senate Republicans are perilously traversing it at present, I would say. All right. Coming up at 7:07, we will be joined by Brian Jodice, National Press Secretary of American Federation of Children. It's 7 o'clock on AM 560.
The U.S. and Iran have been talking again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, indirectly through a mediator in Geneva today as President Trump demands Iran scale back its nuclear program, saying he won't let them build a weapon.
As the president has said repeatedly, he wants to address that problem diplomatically, but of course the president has other options as well.
As Vice President Vance, as the U.S. military buildup keeps growing in the Middle East.
Axios reports that White House envoy Steve Witkoff told a private gathering on Tuesday that the Trump administration is demanding that Iran agree any future nuclear deal will remain in effect indefinitely. Iran's foreign minister says his country is not ready to give up what he calls peaceful nuclear technology and warned it will retaliate if attacked, with U.S. bases in the region seen as a potential target.
Fox's Stephanie Bennett. She mentioned Steve Witkoff. He will also hold talks today in Geneva with Ukrainian officials. Last night, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky had a phone call thanking President Trump for his effort trying to stop Russia's war, which keeps raging with another barrage of Russian drones and missiles launched overnight across Ukraine. Now to a deadly shooting at sea.
It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, after 4 people were shot dead, 6 others wounded on a speedboat registered in Florida. Cuba claims those on board were armed Cubans living in the U.S. wanting to infiltrate the island and unleash terrorism.
The majority of the information we still possess is what Cuban authorities are providing both the public and the U.S. government. We have our embassy on the ground in Havana working this as we speak.
Olympic hero Jack Hughes, who scored the winning goal in the gold medal game, got a standing ovation last night in New Jersey as the NHL season resumed.
I'm so proud and I'm so happy that the men's and women's USA hockey teams brought gold medals back to the United States of America.
Hughes also went over and got his U.S. Olympic teammate Tage Thompson off of Buffalo's bench to join him in the spotlight at MSG, and then Thompson scored and led the Sabres to a 2-1 win over Hughes' Devils. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Mourners continue to pay respects to the late civil rights leader, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Fox's Jeff Manasso has the latest.
The late Reverend Jesse Jackson will lie in repose for 2 days at his Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters here in Chicago, with dignitaries and people from across the country paying their respects. Jesse Jackson Jr. saying his father's memorial will be welcome to all, despite any political differences.
Because his life is broad enough to cover the full spectrum of what it means to be an American.
Other services for Jesse Jackson will take place in Washington, D.C. and South Carolina next month. President Trump has praised the civil rights leader as a force of nature like few others before him. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
You may be owed some money after a judge ruled that Chicago overcharged drivers for city sticker and parking violations. Fox Business' Ashley Webster reports.
2 residents sued the city, saying, look, these tickets just created mounting amounts of debt. And, of course, all those late fees were added on. They say that's not right. And guess what? A judge agreed, saying it went too far and ruled that the city violated state law by charging penalties that exceeded a $250 cap on municipal fines. The judge's ruling impacts more than 1 million tickets issued between 2012 and 2022. If it stands, Chicago would have to refund nearly $70 million in overcharges, plus another $34 million in interest.
The judge also erased almost $100 million in unpaid fines. The city says it's considering an appeal. This report is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt doesn't see a friendly Iran.
The USS Abraham Lincoln had an F-35 from the carrier shoot down a Shahed drone from Iran that got too close to the Lincoln. Also today, a half dozen Iranian gunboats approached a U.S.-flagged oil tanker and tried to take it under their control. This is not the action of a regime that wants to negotiate.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
It's time for Common Sense, America First leadership in Washington. Hi, I'm Nikki Conforti, and I'm ready to fight for the 6th Congressional District and put working families first. Congressional District 6 needs strength and experience. Congress is no place for on-the-job training. Vote for the leadership our community deserves. Be sure to get out and vote for Nikki Conforti for U.S. Congressional District 6 on March 17th. I'm Nikki Conforti, and I approve this message.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes and their families, heroes like Scott Abrams. Now, for more than 3 decades, Scott served his community and country while he was on his NYPD motorcycle escorting a funeral procession. Scott was hit by a bus, leaving him partially paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers was able to honor Scott with a mortgage-free smart home. Please join us supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. If you can donate $11 a month, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Honey, I can't deal with this kitchen anymore. It's cramped and everything is outdated.
I know, but it makes no sense to move. I could call my contractor buddy Chad.
Babe, you've seen Chad's house, right?
Yeah, good point.
Plus, he showed up late for his own wedding. Let's get someone who's reliable.
How about Forever Remodeling? They have a team of interior designers, master installers, and project managers all under one roof.
Their reviews on Google look amazing, and homeowners post a ton of pictures of their work.
It looks like they even offer 3D rendering of their projects.
Just like my TV design shows.
Exactly.
Plus, AM 560 listeners get a free in-home design consultation.
From kitchens to bathrooms, basements to whole homes, the design build team at Forever Remodeling takes the stress out of remodeling. They're done on time and guaranteed to match your vision. Visit them online at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic and service at Goldilocks. 15 minutes in and outbound. Eden's in between Lake Cook and Montrose. A 14-minute delay, a 33-minute ride inbound Kennedy O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. 27 minutes outbound. 31 minutes inbound Eisenhower Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound Eisenhower Old Post Office to Wolf. You're looking at 20 minutes. A 37-minute ride inbound Stevenson from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Heavier approaching the Dan Ryan. Outbound Stevenson Lakeshore Drive to 355. 22 minutes, and a 32-minute travel time Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Fern Interchange, heavier due to an earlier crash inbound near the Stevenson. Goldilocks offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. I'm KT, AM 560. The Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will bring mostly sunny skies and breezy conditions with a high reaching 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Craig Bolanos, powered by VestGen Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. As I mentioned yesterday in our State of the Union post-mortem, 2 areas that I wish Trump had addressed, one in more detail, the other in any detail, that he didn't get to. And I know it was, nearly 2 hours, and so there's only so much you can get done. It was a good program, a lot of special guests. The 2 areas, though, that I mentioned, one was sort of the lawfare and the larger dynamic of, as nicely encapsulated by Trump, remember, they're not coming for me, they're coming for you, I'm just standing in the way. And the last week's worth of revelations about CIA, FBI, politicization, abuses, reportedly 10 G-men fired yesterday after it was revealed that the previous regime's FBI had obtained the phone records of both Kash Patel as well as White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. So those abuses, and particularly amid Susan Rice and others sort of resetting the table for more to come, were they to return to power in the midterms, and certainly with an eye towards 28 in the White House. So that was one area. And he did address it to a certain extent, but not to the depth. Just like with political violence, he mentioned it, but not to the depth that I think it needs, because it's foundational with respect to a free society. The relationship between the federal government and the citizen, and frankly, the rule of law and equal protection under it. So that was one or 1.5 areas. The other, though, was with respect to another part of the big, beautiful bill that he did not mention when he was talking about the affordability issue. And that, of course, is the federal school choice tax credit that he set up up to $1,700 per person for donations to nonprofits and scholarship granting organizations for K through 12 educational costs for parents across the country. And this is important on multiple levels. One, it just provides, obviously, more voluntary scholarship money for more children around the country to get to better schools. And so, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. The other piece of it, though, is there's a little bit of dissension in the ranks with respect to those teachers union-owned politicians on the other side. A little bit of dissension in the ranks that I hope he can foment more, because you had at least one Dem governor say, of course I'm going to opt in to the president's scholarship program because it's free money. And why would I not take free money, donated money, if people want to give, for scholarships for kids in my state of Colorado? That's Jared Polis. And that distinguishes him from governors and say, I don't know, like Illinois and J.B. Pritzker. So we want to see if we can't expand those rifts between the teachers union-owned pols around the country, would seem to me. For more on this latter topic, pleased to be joined by Brian Jodice, who is National Press Secretary for AFC, American Federation for Children. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be with you and your listeners.
And so disappointed that the president didn't mention one of the great features of the BBB, in addition to tax relief, this tax credit scholarship program?
No, I don't think so. I think the president outlined what really was a pro-family agenda. We would contest that this federal scholarship tax credit really is the best kept secret of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And you kind of outlined it perfectly, what it's going to be able to do. And to be able to unlock scholarships like this across the country at no cost to these states really is a game changer. But as you so eloquently stated, it's why the teachers union hate this so much. It's why they're attacking it at every turn. And Illinois has got a real decision to be made. You look on the map, and we've got one up at federalscholarships.com, Iowa, Missouri, Indiana. You're flanked by states that have already opted in, and you made a great case with Colorado and Governor Polis there as well, because this thing really is a no-brainer.
Has there been any other Dems that have voiced support or open-mindedness on the topic?
Yeah, we've seen some commentary. In North Carolina, the governor there has talked about, I want to see the rules officially out before we make a decision. So we've seen some of that commentary, but there is so much pressure from the unions, especially in these blue states, to stay away from this thing. But, let's look at what this really does. You're talking about a change in the tax code that's going to give donors the ability to donate to these scholarship granting organizations across the country. They're then going to get a dollar for dollar, up to $1,700 reduction on their federal tax bill, which is really incredible. So that's why it's such a no-brainer. It costs the states nothing. They don't have to add any single dollar to it. And then the real question to be asked, and this is the question that we're asking across, states across the country, and this is what you'd want Governor Pritzker to think about. So I just told you that, Iowa's got SGOs, Missouri's going to have SGOs, Indiana's going to have the SGOs. That's just right there on your borders. Families across Illinois are going to want to tap into this and get that tax credit. You're going to then force them to send those dollars into other states. That's the part that doesn't make any sense. And, by the way, the underlying thing we haven't even talked about is the scholarships, yes, can be used for private school tuition, which is obviously what the unions hate, but it also has applicability to be able to help kids in public schools with things like tutoring. So it really can help kids across makes and models. So when you think about it that way, that's why it really shows the utter hypocrisy to sort of oppose something like this, because then again, it can be used for kids in all kinds of schools.
Yeah, and just to be explicit about it for people living in Illinois, I think Pritzker has said he's not going to opt in. You may be holding out hope, but I wouldn't hold out too much hope. But if you're in Illinois and Pritzker holds to what his position has been since he reversed it when he started to think about his political future and his need to align with the teachers unions, which is what happened. But if you're in Illinois and you want to participate in this, you just because there's not going to be a way to do it in Illinois, there are ways to do it in other states. So I could donate money to a scholarship granting organization in Indiana and get the same credit, and I'm still helping a kid in Indiana, even if I can't help a kid in Illinois.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And I can all but promise you this: we will be fundraising and we will be collecting donors from the state of Illinois to donate to SGOs. The question is, will students in that state be able to benefit from it? It's bad enough that leaders in the state let the Invest in Kids Act die. It would be bad enough if they skipped out on this opportunity, and now you're going to have people wearing Indiana Bears T-shirts and donating to SGOs in Indiana. I mean, and that's great for Indiana kids. Don't get me wrong. Families going to be looking at moving, right? So just continue the flood, I guess, to Indiana at this point.
Yeah. But just how does that work? So I donate to AFC or the AFC, the American Federation of Children Scholarship Granting Entity, whatever that is, and I'm donating from Illinois. Then does the like how the tax credit scholarship worked in Illinois before it was repealed by Pritzker and his friends? You could designate to a particular school, for example, your alma mater. So how does it work? How does it work at the federal level? I'm donating to AFC's enterprise for scholarship granting organization, but I'm in a state that doesn't have scholarships. So how is my money? How can I earmark my money essentially, or can I?
Exactly. No. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you'd be able to pick an SGO that exists in a state where you then want to support students. And the ability to then select a certain kind of school would also be there. I mean, so you're going to be able to do things like that, right? As long as it's serving more, as long as the SGO serves more than one school, more than 10 kids. So you could see, networks of SGOs be stood up. The same thing we're going to do with the AFC Scholarship Fund. I mean, look, our whole goal there is to get this program to as many families as possible, as soon as possible, and to create a very efficient, streamlined process for them to do that. So, yeah, you'd be able to direct those dollars. Let's say I lived in a state that didn't opt in, but I've got family that's in another state. So use your example. I live in Illinois, but I've got family in Indiana, and I want to support the scholarship program in Indiana. I can earmark for those kids' schools. I can't earmark for the specific students, but you could definitely send dollars knowing that it could go to serve kids at a certain school.
And so give us a survey of where school choice is now nationally and where you think this provision in the big, beautiful bill could take it.
I mean, look, 27 states have already opted into the Education Freedom Tax Credit. You've got 32 states plus the District of Columbia that have some sort of school choice program. We're nearing 20 states with universal eligibility. I mean, this polls across the board. You see 75% in sort of national polling. Republicans, Democrats, independents, specifically minority Democrats support this at really incredibly high levels. So think about folks in sort of downtown Chicago. I mean, these are the people that want access to this. It's never been more popular. More and more governors are opting in. More and more states are expanding. I mean, Texas just launched what's going to be the largest day one school choice program in the history of the country. So this is no longer a niche issue, right? This is mainstream. This is the genie's out of the bottle on this thing. And so first of all, to let what was a great scholarship program, which by the way, I mean, you already have donors in Illinois that are used to this idea, right? Donating to SGOs. Yeah. It was bad enough they let that program die. To not opt into this one, you're leaving so many resources on the table when more and more kids are falling behind. $30,000 per kid per year in Chicago, but there's something like 30 plus schools with zero kids proficient in math. Like, you need drastic education reform, creating essentially free dollars like this to be able to invest it in the state. That's why it's such a no-brainer. So we've seen so much popularity grow. I'm still optimistic here. I'm still optimistic that we can get Illinois there, because when you look at the facts, if you could just put the union's nonsense aside and look at the facts, this thing really is a no-brainer, and it's going to be great for kids and great for your taxpayers too. When families are feeling it, they're feeling the bottom line. To be able to get $1,700 right off your federal tax bill, I mean, what an incredible blessing that would be.
Well, and you're right. I mean, people forgot, but the 5 years the tax credit scholarship program was in effect, I mean, tens of millions of dollars was raised for these scholarships, for kids scholarships, and it was really a boon to schools that are doing a great job trying to scale the great job they're doing, like Chicago Hope on the west side, and
right.
And
we're also seeing
so
in
many
other
schools
states where, we're also seeing these competitive effects where the longer these school choice programs exist. We're going to have some great report coming out next week from Dr. Graff from AFC, Dr. Patrick Graff, that's going to show competitive effects in the scale versus spending the longer these programs exist. So unfortunately, you only had your program there for about 5 years.
Yeah.
The longer they exist, the better those kids get, and the better the public school kids get in proximity to kids on school choice programs. So it really is a rising tide.
Yeah, it's interesting how competition improves the product or service. It's what a novel idea.
Right.
Yeah, what a novel idea.
Yep.
So the other piece of this too that I'm optimistic about is, once you can break through, like the Trump administration did with the $1,700 tax credit, then you have something to build on too. When it shows success, you build a constituency around it, and subsequent administrations can hopefully build on this and expand the pool of scholarship dollars.
That's right, and it's why we've always worked to not only create good policy, but to create really strong implementation right across the country. So when new programs come into existence, our goal is to ensure that as many families know about them, get access to them. I mean, you're seeing in states across the country, North Carolina, Tennessee, you're going to see it in Texas, South Carolina, where they're oversubscribed. I mean, they've got robust waiting lists. So that's also great. I mean, look, you obviously want to get every single family on the program that can get access to it, but also shows these legislatures, state leaders that we've got to get more. We've got to do more here. More families want access to it than ever before. Well, at the same time, look, we've got real threats from the unions. I mean, they are well-funded. They are mobilized. You're talking about $3 billion a year flowing through their collective coffers every year, which is incredible. But we're winning at the courts, right? Idaho just had a huge state Supreme Court win. We're seeing state after state win at the court level as well. So public opinion wants it. It's good policy. It's legally sound. We've got to have more of it.
Brian Jodice is National Press Secretary for American Federation for Children. Brian, thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Appreciate you.
And Brian joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Good text from 630 in response to our conversation about the SAVE Act, the previous segment. Getting married in May, just found out I'm taking my wife's voting rights away. Yeah. That's a good way to accentuate the silliness of the position in opposition to voter ID. Very good. All right, raise your hand if chronic pain is making you feel old, older than you actually are. Maybe you can't raise your hand. Therein lies the problem. Ongoing pain can really turn your golden years upside down, but here's the good news. QC Kinetics patients right here in Chicagoland are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. I know this because I've met some of the patients. Dr. Caravelli and QC Kinetics medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science. Treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body and concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon. Patrick's golf game is on fire again, and Andrea is back in her garden. These are real QC Kinetics patients. The sooner you start, the sooner inflammation and pain eases, and the sooner joint damage slows down. So don't wait. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetics' regenerative treatments and tell them I sent you when you do. Your visit and consultation are free, so call now, 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-682-3311. That's 800-682-3311. 800-682-3311.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes and their families, heroes like Scott Abrams. Now, for more than 3 decades, Scott served his community and country while he was on his NYPD motorcycle escorting a funeral procession. Scott was hit by a bus, leaving him partially paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers was able to honor Scott with a mortgage-free smart home. Please join us supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. If you can donate $11 a month, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, we talked about the piece that she wrote for Compact magazine last week. Alicia Nieves joins us at 7:37 to talk about that, and maybe some other issues too, including some of the moments from the State of the Union address. But the piece from Compact was essentially her description of how the neo-Marxist party, I say, you might say Democrat, how it is oriented such that it is not possible for it to moderate. These people are crazy and they're staying crazy sort of explanation we'll get from Alicia Nieves at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A former Oswego High School teacher is facing a civil lawsuit filed by former students who say they were groomed, sexually harassed, and assaulted for years. According to that lawsuit, 4 former students say the district was aware of the inappropriate behavior of the former teacher and coach, who has not faced criminal charges in those allegations. And Chicago police are investigating a shooting that happened on the south side last night. Fox's Ted Linder has more.
5 people were injured in the shooting that happened Wednesday night around 7:30 at a gas station in the Woodlawn neighborhood. A Chicago police spokesperson said the 5 were taken to hospitals and that they were investigating multiple crime scenes. The details and circumstances of the shooting remain unclear. There was no word on any arrests. The investigation continues. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
This report is the service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take this 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Scott Jennings sees a disconnect.
2/3 of Americans say that yes, local police and jails should hand illegal immigrants over to federal law enforcement. Of course, the Tim Walz and Jacob Fry position is that they will not cooperate. Democrats, it seems, are badly out of step with the American people.
The Scott Jennings Show, weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Raise your hand if chronic pain is making you feel old, older than you actually are. Ongoing pain can really turn your golden years upside down. But here's the good news. QC Kinetics patients right here in Chicagoland are getting relief. And it didn't happen in an operating room. Dr. Caravelli and QC Kinetics medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body and concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon. Patrick's golf game is on fire again, and Andrea's back in her garden. These are real QC Kinetics patients. The sooner you start, the sooner inflammation and pain eases, and the sooner joint damage slows down. So don't wait. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetics regenerative treatments and tell them I sent you when you do. Your visit and consultation free. Call now, 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Ben, when you designed the Klein Sofa Sleeper, you really raised the bar.
No, I didn't, Arvid.
Oh, come on. You're just being modest.
I mean it, Nicole. I didn't raise the bar. I removed it entirely.
Removed what?
The bar.
Oh, you mean that awful metal bar in traditional sofa sleepers.
Yeah, the one that digs into the middle of your back while you try to sleep.
So annoying.
Right?
But the Klein Sofa Sleeper at Penny Mustard has a solid platform base with no springs or painful metal bars.
And fellow tall people rejoice because the Klein features a longer, more spacious sleeping area.
No more feet dangling off the bottom.
I guess you could say the Klein Sofa Sleeper's design is the best. bar none.
The Klein Sofa Sleeper, American made with a solid platform base and no painful bar in the middle of your back. Starting at $50.49 at Penny Mustard.
6 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Crime is already skyrocketing in 2026. Now, you may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial, the legal, the emotional weight of pulling that trigger, there is new technology, a smarter option. It's non-lethal. BYRNA.com. Berta makes less lethal launchers. It fires tear gas, pepper spray, kinetic rounds. It is designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes. That gives you time to escape. That gives you time to get help without deadly consequences. Now, remember, it fires at 400 feet per second, and it has serious stopping power, enough to shut down a threat very fast without the legal, moral complexity of using lethal force. And every single launcher hand-assembled in beautiful Fort Wayne, Indiana. Legal in all 50 states, no background check, and they'll ship it straight to your door. Just go to BYRNA.com today and find the right launcher for you and your family. That's BYRNA.com.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of True Green, 16 minutes inbound Edens between Lake Cook and Montrose, outbound 19 minutes, inbound Kennedy O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange. It'll take you 39 minutes, 36 minutes outbound Kennedy from the Byrne Interchange to O'Hare, 37-minute travel time inbound Eisenhower Wolf to the old post office, 21 minutes outbound, and you're looking at a 75-minute drive time inbound on the Stevenson for your Thursday morning drive in between 355 and Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 30 minutes, 34 minutes inbound Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 10 minutes outbound Dan Ryan from the Byrne Interchange to 95th. True Green, don't waste another weekend doing your lawn care yourself. Partner with the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour and a golf course quality lawn the easy way. Sign up at truegreen.com and sit back and relax. I'm KT, AM 560. The Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny and breezy, reaching a high of 65. As for Saturday, it will be cloudy and significantly colder. In the afternoon, there will be on and off snow and flurries, accumulating a coating to an inch. Temperatures will start at a high of 36, but will drop into the mid-20s. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And so the moment on Tuesday night's State of the Union speech that I thought was the moment, because it was a culmination of several other moments leading to it. And of course, it was this.
Nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the only thing standing between them and you is me and my Republican friends. It was but that was a moment, as I said, of culmination, because it effectively began with this litmus test.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Right, and no Democrat stood up. And just on that piece of it, because it was one of several of the same kind. J.D. Vance had this to say.
Well, I saw a couple of things, Bill. First of all, obviously, most Democrats didn't stand up or clap. And, what a shame that is. What a sad commentary that is on the Democratic Party, that the idea that the American government should stand for American citizens, not illegal aliens, that shouldn't be controversial, but apparently it was to the Democrats. But I will say, Bill, something that I saw that probably most TV viewers didn't see was really the cowardice, because there were a few Democrats who sort of politely clapped. They didn't want to stand up. I guess maybe they were worried about being primaried by the far left fringe of their party. But they were all looking around. They weren't actually saying, you know what, I'm going to stand and support this because this is a common sense, obvious statement. They were all looking around for cues from their colleagues because they didn't have the courage to stand on their own. And that, more than anything, Bill, is the saddest commentary on the Democratic Party, that not only will they not stand for the idea that Americans should come first, they won't even have the courage of their convictions. They lean on the person to their left and their right rather than actually have some conviction. That is unfortunately what's true about Democrats in Washington today. Well, it's a collectivist operation, there's no question. And orthodoxy will be enforced. But the explanation, I should say, after the fact also shows the problem, which is they don't really have any cogent responses to the positions they're taking. So they lean back on making accusations that involve the isms and the phobias. Let me give you an example of what I mean. In response to that sort of litmus test question, the first duty of government is to protect the American citizens, not illegal immigrants. Question that Trump put to those in attendance was seen by Oregon Congresswoman Janelle Bynum thusly.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
Yeah. Thinly veiled racism. The first duty of government is to put Americans, which necessarily implicates a great diversity across every demographic of individuals in a country of 350 million people. Every race, ethnicity, religion, necessarily implicates the full panoply of diversity, but yet it's still racist. How's that? It's anti-immigrant, but you're the same party that when President Trump also said oppose illegal immigration and support legal immigration, you sat on your hands for support legal immigration too, which leads one to logically conclude the only thing you do support is open borders and general lawlessness. That's it. We don't care about a legal process, and we support people who break the legal process that exists. So what else is one to conclude? But it was one thing after the other where Trump framed essentially 80-20 or 90-10 issues that led up to these people are crazy sort of moment, his attempt to jujitsu the midterm election perspective and make it a referendum about the party out of power, which is very difficult for a party in power to do. But as I said yesterday and hit me during the speech, he did about as good a job as you can do, and it was by just walking them down one issue after the other. They won't stand in respect Irina Zrutska's mother weeping over her brutal murder. They won't stand for Delilah and her dad, the 5-year-old girl that was severely injured by an illegal immigrant illegally driving a truck, plowing into her and others on that California highway. They won't stand for a young woman who was transed and then pulled back when he said, there's no federal law to oppose or to prohibit transing of minors without parental consent. They won't stand and acquiesce to that. And that's what prompted him to say these people are crazy. And it goes back to this piece that we talked about last week on the show by Alicia Nieves that was over in Compact Magazine, explaining why that party cannot moderate. So don't expect any pivoting. Well, 80-20, 90-10 issues, doesn't matter. Alicia Nieves is a lawyer focused on immigration and national security issues. She writes from Chicago. Alicia, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Dan. Good morning.
Good morning. So what was your reaction to sort of those moments, and perhaps take them in totality as I was leading up to it, during the State of the Union speech and the postmortem? And a good example was that Representative Bynum from Oregon, just sort of leaning on everything that I disagree with is racist.
Yeah, I think their conduct during the State of the Union, both during the State of the Union, not just those that were there who refused to stand up, but also, many of them didn't even attend. I think it encapsulates perfectly what's going on with the Democrats and their problems. I mean, they are so stuck in a very progressive, far left position. It almost feels like they're hostage themselves, that they can't even get out of that extreme left position. And so, yeah, I think it was not only those who didn't stand up, but you may have seen some of the clips of their own State of the Union address.
Yes.
And it was just ridiculous.
With the Portland Frog Brigade, that one?
Yes. And it's very stomach turning, actually, to think that this is the opposing party, that they were just recently in control of the presidency and the entire, Congress. And so the possibility of them coming back into power is just something that's very concerning because this is their position. They can't stand up for something so basic as saying that Americans, should be protected over illegal aliens. And so in my article, I kind of talk a little bit about that. What are the structural issues that prevent Democrats from just going back to where they were just 10 years ago, right? I mean, Obama sounds conservative in his presidency than, where they are today. So, and I think Illinois is a really good example of these structural problems within the actual Democratic Party itself.
It's interesting. When we went through your piece the other day on this show, mentioned, sort of an anecdote that you shared to illustrate this that I thought was a good one. You moved to Texas to run a state House race down there, and just that experience. So it's sort of two questions prompted by the anecdote that you shared. One is, I mean, are you a Democrat, or do you consider yourself a moderate Democrat, or have you moved altogether? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I was a Democrat. I'm Hispanic. My family are union workers. This is, there's an assumption when you're just born into this. It's also, Chicago politics are a part of that too. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a Democrat. And then, what I tell people now, especially most of my friends are Democrats, is, I don't know if I left the party. I think the party just left me. Right. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think there's a growing number of people who are like, I'm not necessarily just, a trooper for the GOP, but I can't be a part of, a party that can't even allow for people to have differing views on whether children should be able to, be mutilated by medicine and transition their gender. If they can't create moderate positions on that, what can they be trusted on in general? So this is what I see, and that's why I kind of stepped away from this. And I saw it up front, right? In my article, I talk about Representative Sean Theory. I saw the private battle that was happening with interest groups within the party who pressured her, right?
Well, before we get to that, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Northwest Indiana.
Oh, okay. All right. But you're a Chicago resident now.
So I'm still based in Northwest Indiana, but Chicago-based area.
Gotcha.
So I think I have the accent too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I mean, So now, but that experience, the state house race. I mean, you mentioned some others, but your experience in particular, that first person account is always interesting. That state house race in Texas. Take us through that and sort of what hit you about the experience of trying to put together the financing and the coalition you need to win an electoral race.
Right. So, one of the things that I do talk about, I was so surprised by this, and I think many are, when you kind of find yourself in these positions of running a Democratic campaign race, is that it's not like how you would assume it would be. So the natural assumption I think most people would have, it's actually the logical one, is the one that Republicans have, which is we find districts that are competitive, right? So if it's not competitive, you're not going to get money. But if you're plus minus 2 points, that's when money starts to flow. The way it flows with Republicans is that it comes from the party itself traditionally, at least in Texas, and I think many states that are successful have that model. So all the money goes through to the candidate from the party or from top stakeholders, and they really provide the platform, the messaging, and it comes from the Republican Party itself, specifically the state party. But for Democrats, it's entirely different, and I think this goes to the heart of why, the curiosity of why don't they stand up at the State of the Union address? It's because their money isn't centralized the way the Republicans are. It comes from an array of progressive, predominantly coastal cities and donors, private donors that have very specific agendas that really don't reflect what, flyover states, right? Or just ordinary parts of the United States. And so that's what I saw up front. I asked my candidate, what's our finance strategy here? And it primarily comes down to talking to people who are on the East Coast, who are on the West Coast, and have very specific political agendas, and not really economic agendas, but social agendas. And so it's about finding those donors, because the Democratic Party itself is a very decentralized and weak party. And I think that's probably the case in Illinois as well.
But it's not just the money that's coming from those organizations who maybe sort of, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but like under the Arabella Advisors umbrella. It's not just those. They're not just bringing the money; they're also now bringing the candidates, aren't they? You made the mention of, from AOC to now fast forward to Mamdani, both good examples.
Yes, absolutely. So that's an entirely new process where they're selecting it, and I think it sort of makes sense. It's the traditional campaign. I mean, it's wise strategy, I think, to look at your district and see who can win. So you need a woman, do you need a minority, all these things. But I think they're taking it to another level, which is they're training folks in the nonprofit world before entering, becoming a candidate. So that's what I find very interesting about the most far left of the party. If you look at their biographies, it reveals, a very frequently they lack a private sector experience, which I think is important because that's more real world, sink or float. And so like Mamdani, AOC, if you look at their records, it's all nonprofit work all throughout their 20s. And so, how that translates is like you don't have a full worldview that most people have. And then second, it just so coincidentally happens that all of their budget and issue positions are based on supporting issues that just coincidentally help, give more money from the state to these nonprofits that they formerly worked at, or coalitions or ecosystems, however you want to describe it.
And so, those that are suggesting that some pivoting towards the center on some of these 80-20 issues on which the Democrat Party is on the wrong side, the Fettermans of the world, guys like Rui Teixeira over at Liberal Patriot. I mean, they have no audience and no financing. Is that your view?
Yes, that's a huge aspect of it. I mean, I could, certainly they probably have some, money, especially at the Senate level. That becomes, a bit more everyone buys in because it's so consequential. But it is harder. It is absolutely harder. But I think that it's more difficult. And I experienced that, working as a campaign manager. It's harder because you actually have to get buy-in from the private sector of your district. Right. And so it means, can you present, do you have the social skills? Right. That's the other thing. As they become more socialist, right. And it creates a bad feedback loop where you don't have candidates who are, I'm a private sector, but I believe in the Democratic Party, and I can go to the local Chamber of Commerce, right? Chamber of Commerce will, traditionally endorse Republicans, but they'll endorse Democrats too. It's just about whether you believe in their positions. Can I get small business owners to donate to me? They're not doing that harder work, right? And so it's just, I think it's actually easier. There's a certain easiness in just going for progressive money but it creates a bad feedback loop, right? Because they just become more powerful and entrenched within the local and state Democrat parties.
Do you think that right now that that's what I would call neo-Marxist element is at its high watermark because they have sort of been buoyed by the fervor, the fervor of anti-Trump sentiment that they've been able to whip up? But once he leaves the scene, and even if, for example, J.D. Vance were to follow him, it's just not going to be the same, and they're not going to be able to generate the same currency from somebody who is more room temperature and perhaps less theatrical than Trump. And they're in for an awakening where they're not going to get away, particularly in, center-left districts or center-left states. They're not going to get away with having these people that are over the top like they are now in the Trump era.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I mean, I've been telling people recently, I just talked to someone who's working in the Massachusetts state legislature who's Democrat, but also completely terrified of what was happening. Is, I told him, I'm like, you're young. I think you should, and, I was just telling him, don't assume that the Democratic Party is going to exist and it can fail, right? There's an assumption, I think, that it's like a free market sort of place, political parties where bad ideas, if they fail, then new ones will emerge just naturally. But I think that there's a really a deep unknown, and it could be very possible that this party, it can be locked out of federal power for quite some time. And so there will need to be a transformation, but will it go towards moderation? I don't know. And I think I would say, take a look at what's happening in the Texas Senate primary for the Democratic Party.
Tallarico versus Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett. It looks like she may win. The data is very very much in her favor, and I think that who she is and what her campaign strategy looks like, how it looks, that could be how the Democratic Party will look. That is their version of populism, and it's not the same thing as President Trump's, which is, we're going to break through from the GOP standards and just usher in all of these pretty sound and very organized policies and implement them, right, with a whole group of people who are very competent. I think you're going to see a kind of populism emerge that is illiberal. It actually lacks ideology altogether. And actually, that might be the best outcome for the Democrats. That's also feasible. It's this sort of populism without any substance. And so I say take a look at her. I think that's the future of the party. Well,
yeah, right. I mean, she's definitely lacking in substance. But yeah, the best outcome would be, populism that is non-ideological, but that's a stone's throw from a sort of populism that is ideological in the way that the Reign of Terror was, too. Right. So, yeah, sure. Very, very interesting. Alicia Nieves is a lawyer focused on immigration and national security issues. She writes from the greater Chicagoland area, perhaps the future home of the Bears on the other side of the border.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Alicia, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Good speaking with you.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
And Alicia joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer. Coming up at 8:08. Yeah, I think it's time for another installment of Why Dan Prof to Single. Have you heard of this new phenomenon in the dating scene that I just learned about? Ghost lighting. We will discuss that. And also we'll fold in a candidate for Congress, speaking of non-ideological populism and crazy people, the intersection of the two. This woman running for Congress in Michigan named Shelby Campbell. We've brought you her before. We'll remind you why, and we'll talk about her latest pronouncement. That's all at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Will Iran make a deal? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is a big question as nuclear talks resume today with the U.S.
The principle is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
That's Vice President Vance. Iran claims it never wants to build a weapon, but does want to keep making fuel for nuclear power as an American military buildup grows in the Middle East.
After several hours of indirect discussion in Geneva, Switzerland, mediators said creative and positive ideas were exchanged. If President Trump chooses to attack Iran, the Iranians have warned that all U.S. military military bases in the Middle East would become legitimate targets. A devastating war involving the whole region, warns Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The U.S. is investigating what Cuba claims was a terrorism attempt to infiltrate the island by armed Cubans who live in the U.S. in a speedboat. They were shot by Cuba's military. 4 died, 6 wounded.
The gunfire erupted near Kyle Falcones. One of the victim's family members told the Associated Press her relative had become obsessed with the, quote, quest for Cuba's freedom, wanting a change in government. The details of the incident remain unclear. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's gathering information.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will answer questions today in a congressional investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking scheme. It'll be former President Bill Clinton's turn tomorrow.
The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Clintons last year, and after a back and forth over scheduling, Oversight set deposition dates for this past January. The Clintons failed to appear. They sent a letter to the House Oversight Committee chairman saying the demand for their testimony was partisan politics. But after 9 Democrats sided with Republicans to hold the former president in contempt and 3 Democrats agreed to hold former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in contempt, the couple relented.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Also answering questions today, the woman who sued social media platforms will testify. She claims they were made to be addictive and led to her depression as a child. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keane in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Governor J.B. Pritzker says $21 million in state capital funds will unlock more than $83 million in private investment to restore a historic hotel area in the Pullman State Historic Site on Chicago's South Side. According to the governor's office, the public-private partnership will redevelop the 1881 Hotel Florence, Pullman Car Works building, and surrounding grounds into a boutique hotel, dining destination, and cultural and performing arts hub. Mourners continue to pay respects to the late civil rights leader, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Fox's Jeff Manasso is here in Chicago with the latest.
The late Reverend Jesse Jackson will lie in repose for 2 days at his Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters here in Chicago, with dignitaries and people from across the country paying their respects to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. protege, who died last week at 84. Jesse Jackson Jr. saying his father's memorial will be welcome to all, despite any political differences.
Because his life is broad enough to cover the full spectrum of what it means to be an American.
President Trump has praised the civil rights leader as a force of nature like few others before him. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
And the Chicago Bears are another step closer to moving to Indiana. Lawmakers in the Hoosier State House of Representatives have approved a bill that would invest $1 billion towards moving the Bears to Indiana. If that bill passes the Senate, it would then be forwarded to their governor for final approval. Meanwhile, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says there have been positive discussions towards keeping the Bears here in Chicago. The Bears organization has yet to confirm if they'll stay here or move away. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Chip maker NVIDIA, the backbone of the artificial intelligence movement, continues to see stunning demand. Its earnings for the recent quarter not only topped expectations, earnings were up 94%, and it reported a record $68 billion worth of sales in the period. CEO Jensen Huang says computing has changed, and selling AI tools is starting to generate real profits. Among the buyers of NVIDIA's chips, OpenAI, Oracle, Microsoft, Meta Platforms, Alphabet, and Amazon. Sportswear company Puma is showing signs of a turnaround, even though it lost money in its recent quarter. Puma says it cleared excess inventory in the past year. Analysts were expecting that to have a bigger impact. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Alex Marlow sees momentum.
This is a day where we have got, I think, the left and the media on the run completely. The data seem to suggest that America's coming back. We have fewer border crossers than ever. We've got a lower murder rate. We've got a huge projected growth in the economy coming up this year. And we're seeing stuff like a plan to lower prescription drug prices, trying to get California back on track.
The Alex Marlow Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Sean Thompson here, and with me today is my friend Dr. Michael Huber, who is one of the creators and developers of Virago. So, Dr. Huber, why don't you tell us what Virago is, what inspired you to create it, and the benefits of it?
I created Virago with 23 natural ingredients that work together to create this immune response in the body. I created it to fight viruses in the beginning, and it's turned into a huge immune booster in a liquid form.
Right, and why a liquid versus a pill?
A liquid provides a rapid response time in the body, and it's optimal for absorption. When you swish it and it's in your mouth, stimulating the bitter taste receptors, you get a rapid response. Like within 15 minutes, you can have a decongestion in your nose.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. And now you can order a bottle at myvirago.com. Myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha.
Maha starts with Virago.
Making America healthy again.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of American Beam and Steel. 16 minutes inbound Edens, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25-minute drive time, inbound Kennedy, O'Hare to Burn Interchange. You are heavier in between Cumberland and Harlem Avenues. It'll take you 44 minutes, 36 minutes outbound, a 14-minute delay and 38 minutes inbound Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office. Outbound, you're looking at 25 minutes, an hour and 26 minutes inbound Stevenson, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Your solid inbound Cass Avenue to LaGrange Road. 36 minutes outbound Stevenson Lakeshore Drive to 355. 33 minutes Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange. American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with owner Mark. American Beam and Steel. I'm KT, AM 560. The Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will bring mostly sunny skies and breezy conditions with the high reaching 65. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
All right, bring it in. Time for another installment. Let's start with Michigan congressional candidate Shelby Campbell. We have mentioned her before. She is running for a seat. It's a big Dem seat that's currently held by Sri Thanadar. He's the guy who's always filing, this like little 70-year-old Indian guy who's always filing articles of impeachment against Trump. He looks like Munchie. If you've ever seen the movie Munchie, which you probably haven't, but if you go look at it now, it's like when I make a Mr. Sardonicus reference to Jared Nadler. Most people won't appreciate it, but if you know it, then you really appreciate it. Some of my references are arcane, but you really appreciate them because they're spot on. Nadler's Mr. Sardonicus, check it out. Sri Thanadar is Munchie. Munchie was this terrible B movie starring Lonnie Anderson. Yeah, Lonnie Anderson. Andrew Stevens, you'll probably recognize he's been in a ton of B movies where he was. A young Jennifer Love Hewitt, even. Terrible movie. I don't normally watch terrible movies, but I do when they're on Mystery Science Theater 3000 and they're parodied, and that was a pretty good one. Oh, by the way, when we had the last time we had a Mystery Science Theater 3000, the last time I mentioned it, we had a caller who was also a dork like me and a huge MST3K fan. He's the one who told me. So whoever it was it? I can't remember his name. I think he's from Rolling Meadows. But anyway, there's a GoFundMe going on for new episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000, and I'm definitely donating. But he mentioned Riff Tracks, which I don't really watch. I've seen a few episodes, but he mentioned watching Velvet Smooth on Riff Tracks. And I just wanted to know, listeners, and I'm listening to you too. I did watch Velvet Smooth on Riff Tracks. Hysterical. Great recommendation. Some of the Riff Tracks episodes leave me flat. I like MST3K better. I think it's more clever, better references, all that. But Velvet Smooth, that was something. That was really something. Okay, I digress. Text from 773. Oh, talking about Shri Thanadar, he kind of looks like Tattoo from Fantasy Island. There's a little bit of that. But I think my Munchie reference, and if you check it out, you will agree, it is closer to the mark than Tattoo because, well, you just see it and you make up your own mind. Okay, so that was all to get back to Shelby Campbell. I went down a rabbit hole there, apologize. So we first introduced you to Shelby Campbell back at the end of last year because she is one of these lunatics that was celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, basically.
Hey MAGA, how bad does it hurt? The Jimmy Kimmel's back, but you guys can't get your person back.
Jimmy Kimmel's back, but you can't get your person back. She was referring to Charlie Kirk. Well, she has a more recent offering. And again, what our talk from with Alicia Nieves, Sri Thanadar, I mean, he's definitely, recklessly and comically anti-Trump and a complete irrelevancy in mainly Michigan politics in addition to certainly Congress. So this awful named Shelby, who knows, could be a member of Congress before you know it, and part of the Socialist Spice Girls team there in the House. She is motivated to run by a breakup from 10 years ago. Listen to this loon.
This is for Parker Thomas Miller, Shelby Campbell, running for Michigan's 13th Congressional District. 10 years ago today, you blocked me and broke up with me after I spent almost 10 years with you. And I'm still bitter about it, but I'm so thankful because without you, I have done so much. The only aspiration I had when I was with you at that age was to just get to Texas and save you from doing drugs. And then I was going to maybe be a hairstylist. But now, baby, I'm running for Congress. I finished more than half of law school because you told me I could never go to college. So, thank you. Everything I do is out of spite. But instead of being an evil, spiteful bitch, I just level up on you.
I think you could say level up on you hoes. That's what she said. That passes the Carlin test. 312-642-5600. Everything I do and have done for the last 10 years is out of spite. Going to law school, that does sort of track. Although, is that on your walk card? I finished half of law school. What was his name? Parker Thomas Miller? Parker Thomas Miller, I believe, has entered the witness protection program and has changed his name and his address, is living the same life that Ray Liotta was living at the end of Goodfellas. Undisclosed location in Arizona, eating noodles with ketchup. It's just I'm still bitter about it. Everything I do and have done for a decade is out of spite because you broke up on me. I don't really understand that. I just don't. I am, so maybe somebody can explain it to me, 312-642-5600 to give us a call or a text. I am so much more in the go TA school. Now you're just somebody I used to know. I think that's just so much, healthier. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just, when I saw that, it's so jarring and weird, especially for a candidate for public office, that it'll probably work in this crazy district in Michigan. But I think Shelby Campbell's a good example, and there are many, of the crazy people that Trump was referencing during his State of the Union remarks. The other matter I wanted to get, just to keep up with dating trends from a distance, there's a toxic new dating trend called ghostlighting. Ghostlighting. What is that, you ask? Well, you can figure it out. It's a portmanteau. It's the combination of ghosting, disappearing without warning, with gaslighting. So how does it work? I'm reading from a piece in USA Today. Yeah, this is the outlet of record when it comes to dating banalities. So instead of owning it when people ghost you, as I understand from Amy Chan, a dating expert, what are the qualifications for that? She's also the author, I guess you have to write a book, the author of the forthcoming book, you'll look forward to not picking this up, Unsingle, How to Date Smarter and Create Love That Lasts. Yeah. Instead of owning the ghosting, the ghoster brushes off the ghosting against the ghostee like it was no big deal, and they make an excuse like, it seemed like you were super busy, so I didn't want to bother you. Amy Chan, dating expert. What makes it different from simple ghosting is the psychological twist. Ghosting is avoidance. Ghostlighting adds distortion by manipulating the facts so you doubt your own reality. Or you just realize you got ghosted, and then whoever she ghosted you for, that didn't work out, and so she's back to perhaps give it another try. She's back to settle, basically. And I am using, she and her in those instances because, that would be my lived experience. And that's what I want to share, of course, is my lived experience. Usually, ghostlighters will attempt to pick up exactly where they left off with no acknowledgement of their disappearance. Thanks to dating apps and more people meeting online in general, daters tend to stay in a state of ambiguity with each other for longer than they did in the past, according to Amy Chan, dating expert, in the same way that Mel Kiper is a draft expert. Many connections now exist in a gray zone, says Amy Chan, dating expert. You're texting, you're seeing each other, but nothing has been explicitly defined. That ambiguity gives people an easy exit. And when someone can exit without consequence, they often do. What would be the consequence otherwise? Just having to say, this is not going well, so have a good one. Blaine Anderson, dating coach for men. Why doesn't he get the expert title? What's the difference between an expert and a coach? Clients, I guess? I don't know. A book. Blaine Anderson says the rise of ghostlighting means it's all the more important to evaluate potential partners by their actions more than their words. What an insight. Do they show up? It's perfect. I know you said you were going to meet me out, and then you didn't show up, and now I'm a bit perplexed. Yes, this is helpful. Do they communicate consistently? And if they don't do either of those things, how do they react when you bring that up to them? Blaine Anderson, dating coach, has come up with an aphorism. I was wondering who came up with this. Actions speak louder than words. Wow. Boy, he just changed my life. Things happen. Maybe something came up in their personal life. Maybe they weren't ready to date. But if they don't mention or apologize for the fact they previously disappeared, I would call them out on it. Because do you really want to be with someone who could do that again for no reason? So there's a course, as if this is not doing enough intellectual violence to you, I will continue. If you have fallen victim to gaslighting, which I'm describing, for no particular reason, because our audience is intelligent enough to stay ahead of this distillation from USA Today. But if you have fallen victim to gaslighting, here's what you do. Back to Amy Chan, dating expert. If you're on the receiving end of gaslighting, do not smooth it over. Don't do that. If someone resurfaces after disappearing, name it calmly. When you stopped responding, I took that as a lack of interest and a lack of communication. Well, right, that's redundant. You stopped responding. That implies a lack of communication. Okay, these are the conversations. This is why these conversations go so horribly for me. Then pause and see how they handle it. Do they acknowledge it and take responsibility, or do they deflect and minimize? If they react well, like a genuine apology, a 2-page report, a valid explanation for vanishing, then, says dating expert Amy Chan, you can consider if they're worth a second chance. But no matter what, don't try to figure out why this person ghostlighted you. Or worse, blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. You're too good for them. Amy Chan, dating expert, it can drive you crazy to psychoanalyze the person and figure out why they did it. What actually helps is not solving the mystery. It allows you to process the hurt. Yeah. Process the Hurt was interestingly, it was the name of my Air Supply cover band we used to kill with our rendition of All Out of Love. Anyway, so I had to stop for a moment. Brought me back. Amy Chan, dating expert, goes on, acknowledge that it felt dismissive, that it disappointed you, that you wanted something more respectful. Then the open loop closes, not when you figure them out, but when you accept what their behavior showed you and decide what you will and will not tolerate going forward. This has been a powerful and cathartic recitation of the phenomenon known as gaslighting. I hope you felt the same. I hope you really felt it. Or if somebody doesn't talk to you or call you back and say, okay, well, they don't like me, and so you move on because, hey, some people cheer, some people boo. What are you going to do? My general attitude on life. But I'm no dating expert, and I'm certainly not a dating coach. That's just why I defer to those who are experts and coaches. Okay. And by the way, the text from 773, every time I do that little my garage tribute band or high school band thing, I get the same text, cringe. You know what's cringe? Responding to that same little device every single time. And it's uncreative. And if you don't like it, then don't listen. Because as I said, my philosophy in life is sort of some people cheer and some people boo. What are you going to do? The one thing I won't do is live my life in the minds of other people. That doesn't work. The Prime Minister in Ogden Dunes, Indiana, with some dating advice. Dating expert and coach, I presume.
Perspicacious Prof, I'm only reading from the book of J.B. Lizzo, and his philosophy on dating and 10 years of spite is as follows. There are two types of people in the world. There are victims and there are problem solvers, and you have to sort and see who you're dealing with. And you do that by asking them what their favorite job was, and they tell you, and you go, oh, that would have been a great job. And what was your worst job? Well, most problem solvers don't even think they've had a worse job, and they just tell you that, whereas the victim wants to tell you all about their worst job. They also want to tell you all about the guy 10 years ago that has motivated them with spite that's fueled all of their activity. It's a victim or it's a problem solver. That's J.B. Lizzo's approach.
Thanks for the call, PM. Text from 630. Dan, I can see it now. That spite girl calling into your show and saying, I'm not going to be ignored, Dan. Yes. Mm-hmm. The Glenn Closes in our lives. In other words, text from 219. In the 219, better get used to that. That's Bears country. In other words, to be a dating expert, you just need common sense, but be able to express that common sense in a 1,000-word essay, something like that. Yeah. Or a 100-page book. And then you get to have, I guess, these, once you have a book, then you're conferred expert status on a particular topic, regardless of the quality of the book, I find generally, much to my chagrin. Which is mainly why I just play golf and watch Mystery Science Theater 3000. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
She's unafraid and unapologetic. She's Laura Trump, and she's shaking things up on the Right View podcast.
We're the side with the mean stuff? Are you guys kidding? You call us Nazis. You call us fascists. You call Donald Trump Hitler from the left. Really? We're the side that's the problem. You're out assaulting ICE agents every chance you possibly get.
Subscribe to the Right View podcast with Laura Trump on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
Opponents of this law are preying upon fear of change to lie and fearmonger.
JB and BJ are the liars and the fearmongers. They are the sickness that is killing Illinois and Illinoisans. They give sanctuary to foreign predators and sanction to domestic repeat offenders while vilifying the police. A Cook County study found 74% of criminal defendants failed to show up to court after being released under Pritzker's Safety Act. Listen to this suburban police chief.
I don't call it the Safety Act, I call it the Unsafety Act, because that's what it is. I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me where does safety come in? Who are we keeping safe here when you call it the Safety Act?
Not you. I will repeal Pritzker's purge law and end JB and BJ's killing spree before it hits you. I'm Ted Dabrowski, your conservative candidate for governor, and I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary on March 17th. Paid for by Ted for Illinois.
Hey there, it's Chris, and as you know, Israel is a hot discussion point right now. I just talked about it on a panel at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. There's so many opinions and emotions surrounding the subject, and the Bible tells us, of course, I will bless those who bless you. That's not just a comforting promise, it's a clear calling from God. And today, with anti-Semitism rising around the world, the calling is more urgent than ever. At a time when Jewish communities are experiencing more hostility, more threats, more violence than ever, Christians have a real opportunity, a powerful opportunity, to respond with God's love, to say, you're not alone. When Christians choose to bless Israel, you're not entering into a political issue. You're honoring the roots of our faith and standing against hatred. Supporting Israel is more than just a belief. It's a biblical mandate. Partnering with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, you can push back against darkness and be a light to God's people. Go to ifcj.org to learn more. That's ifcj.org. Live the word, answer the call.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
This was kind of a fun little man on the street segment. Somebody at Daily Wire did. Went to a college campus, it doesn't matter which one, they're more or less all the same, and asked college students what they thought of President Trump's State of the Union address. Make sure you wait till the end.
Rate Trump's State of the Union speech 1 out of 10. 1's the worst, 10's the best. Negatives. And why? I think we all know a lot of reasons. Yeah. What about the State of the Union last night? 1 to 10.
It was like a 1 or 2. I mean, it was all over the place.
Probably just going to 0.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
And why do you say 1?
I don't think he's very articulate.
How did Trump do at the State of the Union?
0. I'll be real, I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch it much. I watched it for a little bit, but turned it off. The State of the Union last night. How was that? 1 to 10.
It was last night. I thought it was tomorrow.
No, you're good. You passed the test. Good job.
Yes, she was asking people what they thought of the State of the Union speech the day before the State of the Union speech. Another to file away and as an exhibit in the evidentiary case against college as an institution of higher learning and instruction on critical thinking. And I guess you could include all those K through 12 systems those kids attended before they made their way onto a college campus. Coming up at 8:38. Oh, finally, we're going to give the Irish some attention in Chicago. Gosh, it's about time. Jack Smith is on the parade committee for the Southside Irish Parade on March 15th. They have a fundraising event this Saturday, and we're going to talk to him about that. I mean, you know, if you're doing charitable work, I guess I can even stomach the Irish. We'll talk. 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 29 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. You could be owed some money after a judge ruled that Chicago overcharged drivers for city sticker and parking violations. Fox Business' Ashley Webster reports.
2 residents sued the city saying, look, these tickets just created mounting amounts of debt. And, of course, all those late fees were added on. They say that's not right. And guess what? A judge agreed, saying it went too far and ruled that the city violated state law by charging penalties that exceeded a $250 cap on municipal fines. If it stands, Chicago would have to refund nearly $70 million in overcharges, plus another $34 million in interest.
And as if traffic wasn't bad enough, get ready for self-driving cars here in Chicago. Officials with Waymo say they're in negotiations to bring the self-driving cars to the streets of Chicago. Waymo officials say they plan to start mapping out the Chicago streets in the very near future. News is a service of American Beam and Steel structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer. Taylor.
Hugh Hewitt isn't sure the president has a choice.
Because I don't think the Iranians will capitulate. I mean, they could run. They could give up the missiles. I don't believe President Trump is going to get taken by these people. I think they flooded the zone, they being the Pentagon, with all the weapons of war to absolutely crush the regime. I don't think the president has a choice.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS-industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Well, that was a surprise. The HVAC tech just said our furnace apparently has a cracked heat exchanger, and it'll cost thousands.
Oh, you're kidding. He barely looked at it. Now he's pushing a huge repair? What should we do?
I don't really trust them. We need a second opinion. My brother Mark recommended Air Right Heating and Cooling. I looked them up and they seem legit. Great Google reviews. I'm sure they'd give us an honest assessment. He liked that they checked their carbon monoxide readings so he knows the air they're breathing is safe. And I guess it also gave a sense of how much life was left in their furnace.
I'd love that peace of mind. Plus, why spend a fortune on something we might not even need?
Get a second opinion from Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling right now at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Whoa, who's this?
This is Hassleus Mattress.
I thought you didn't have any employees.
That's right. Our showrooms are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
But you still answer the phone?
Of course. That's one of 3 easy ways to order your Sealy Posturepedic and Beauty Rest mattress. Do it by phone, online, or at our in-store kiosk.
So, no employees.
Saves you money. Through Monday, trade in your old mattress and get additional savings of $248 off a queen and $348 off a king. And that's on top of our everyday low prices.
Okay.
Others sell a Sealy Posturepedic Queen Emeryville A mattress for $1,279. But Hassleus has it for just $838. Check out big discounts on Beauty Rest and more too. Plus, free next day delivery.
Keep this up and you'll be named Non-Employee of the Month.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of Audible. Eden's inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 22 minutes. A 41-minute ride inbound, Kennedy, O'Hare to Byrne Interchange. You're heavier between Montrose and Division Street. 37 minutes. Outbound, Kennedy. 38 minutes inbound, Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound, you're looking at 25 minutes. And a 97-minute ride with a cleanup of a crash along the way on the inbound Stevenson from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 34 minutes outbound, Stevenson Lakeshore Drive to 355, and 34 minutes Dan Ryan inbound 95th to the Byrne Interchange. It's time to take care of you. Who better to help than the top voices in well-being on Audible? Kickstart your well-being journey with your first audiobook free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com/wellbeing. I'm KT, AM 560. The Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a mix of clouds and sun with a high of 44. Tonight will be clear with a low of 32. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny and breezy, reaching a high of 65. As for Saturday, it will be cloudy and significantly colder. In the afternoon, there will be on and off snow and flurries, accumulating a coating to an inch. Temperatures will start at a high of 36, but will drop into the mid-20s. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get The latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
We're the Southside Irish as our fathers were before. We come from the Windy City and we're Irish to the core. From Bridgeport to Beverly, from Midway to South Shore, we're the Southside Irish. Let's sing it out once more. We live on the South Side.
Okay, all right. Yes, it's got close competition. Who is more underappreciated, the Southside Irish or the 85 Bears? Who is lacking in attention? Such a close call. The Southside Irish Parade, which of course is an institution in Chicago, interrupted only when you have, Southside Democrats participate in those. You have lockdowns at the hands of the political class during COVID. No parades. The rioting was fine. The looting, that was fine. But you couldn't have a Southside Irish Parade. Super spreader event, don't you know? Yeah. Have we forgotten? I haven't. The good news is that this year's Southside Irish Parade is going to be grand marshaled by representatives from the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, which, of course, we love here. We've partnered with them with our golf outings for the last several years. What an incredible organization Tunnels to Towers is, and all the great work that they do for first responders across the country, including our first responders in Chicago. And I obviously know there's a lot of first responders who live and work on the South Side that are an asset to Chicago, of course, as well. I have fun at the Irish's expense, but don't take it too seriously. Don't get your Irish up, right? Okay. And it's Tunnel to Towers because Robin Kelly was unavailable. Did you hear the good congresswoman? She's running for United States Senate in that primary. She was on with another congresswoman named Yvette Clark and a couple of other female pundit types, mocking this aspect of the State of the Union address on Tuesday night.
I was there, and it was as horrific as I thought it would be.
Did you leave early?
Absolutely. It was like an award show. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal.
That's literally, Mo just said, you get a car, you get a car. Y'all are on the same page.
Yeah. You get a medal. You get a medal. Like Andrew Wolf got a Purple Heart, and Sarah Beckstrom's family got a Purple Heart posthumously after he was shot and severely wounded, almost died, and she was murdered by an illegal Islamist terrorist from Afghanistan. Hilarious. The two decorated service members who received the Medal of Honor, the helicopter pilot in the Maduro mission who was injured and delivered his guys in spite of that, Royce Campbell, who did 220 combat missions between Vietnam and Korea, and President Trump went into details about the firefight he survived during Korea, which was something like 230 bullets riddled through his plane, and he took down enemy aircraft in spite of that. That's you get a medal, according to those individuals like Robin Kelly. They're so inspiring and redeemable, aren't they? The choices that we've made in Chicagoland. What we honor and what we don't. Anyway, I digress, but I had to get that in. I just felt compelled to, because one of the other things we don't do in Chicago is draw lines and say, you cross this line, you're free to do it as a free citizen, but we're going to remember, and we're going to separate ourselves. We're on the opposite side of this line from you. But we don't do that. We paper over these things. And it's why we have a city that is disintegrating and a state that people are fleeing like it's on fire. But again, I digress, because we're going to still have fun at the Southside Irish Parade, and we're still going to recognize Tunnel to Towers Foundation and the good work they do. Also, St. Christina Parish. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Jim Smith, who's a member of the Southside Irish Parade Committee. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks for having me.
Sorry, and I don't want to be dour. I know this is supposed to be about, greening the Chicago River and drinking beer and enjoying the revelry. But, there's some serious underlying issues, too. The choice to honor Tunnel to Towers. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Dan, first of all, I want to thank you and your support of Tunnel over the years. It's super important to us. And obviously you mentioned them being our Grand Marshal this year. So each year, we're in our 47th year of this parade that started with some kids marching around the block in Beverly, started by George Henry and Pat Coakley. And each year we honor somebody that gives back to the neighborhood, that we look for a group that's doing things for us and for the people in our community. And Tunnel to Towers, obviously, we all know after 9/11 what they did for the first responders in New York and other cities that were affected. But since then, they are doing unbelievable work by paying off mortgages, building smart homes for our first responders, and especially in our community of Beverly, they've paid off several mortgages of officers that have been killed in the line of duty. They're building a smart home currently in the process for Carlos Llanes Jr., who was wounded, very, very seriously wounded, and in the death of Ella French in that incident. So we really wanted to recognize the group for all the great work they're doing in our neighborhood.
I'm going from memory, too, but isn't Tunnel to Towers involved with Danny Golden and his home, too?
Yes.
Yeah. So another officer that was shot on the south side, and Danny Golden's now working for ATF last time I checked too. So he's
correct.
So that's great. So that's great for him. So no, that's awesome. And obviously there's a lot of cops and firefighters and paramedics that live on the south side, that live in that area still. And so it's a proper tribute.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a great day. And, you mentioned it, you started off with our national anthem, the Southside Irish Parade song by Terry McEldowney and Whitey O'Day, a couple of great Southsiders. But, obviously Tunnel to Towers, very important to us, and also St. Christina. When we look at St. Christina being 100 years old, 80% of the kids that go to St. Christina are first responder families. So it's really amazing that these two go together this year, and we're very excited to march off on March 15th.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the other piece of this, too. I mean, we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show, too, about K through 12 education and private schools, but the Catholic schools in Chicago, and that's still, and I say this in a complimentary fashion, that's still a real thing on the South Side, and it's part of the South Side's identity, and it's part of Chicago's character. And by the way, they're good schools.
Well, we appreciate that, and we fully support those. And our motto of the parade is faith, family, and heritage. So our faith, our families, and the Irish heritage is what's important to us. And this is probably the biggest day on the South Side throughout the year. People come back from all over the country. Kids come back from school to come and celebrate with their family, enjoy the parade, have family parties back at their houses. It's good for business. It's good for the city, and it's a great thing for our heritage. So we appreciate you taking time to talk about our Grand Marshal.
Absolutely. And any other special guests or people that are disinvited, if like stir the pot a little bit, that you would like to mention?
No, we don't. We do allow. So the Southside Irish Parade is an all voluntary committee. There's still a couple guys from the original families, Pat and Kevin Coakley, who are still very much involved and run the parade at a high level. We're not like downtown where the politicians lead the parade. Any politician who wants to get in, they pay a fee, and they're towards the back of the line. The people that are in front are our Grand Marshal and our honoree and the people from this neighborhood. So somebody wants to get in, they can get in, but they're back around 80, somewhere probably near the police horses.
Exactly. I was going to say, put them behind the police horses and make them clean up. That seems only appropriate. They're public servants, Jim.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dan. But we've got over 100 units going to be marching. We've got marching bands from all over the city, all our local high schools. one of the other things that we recognize every year is the state champions from the area. So we have state champions in all athletic events. We've got Marist in volleyball, Brother Rice in football, Mount Carmel in football. We've got wrestling. We've got cheer. So we've got a lot of different schools will be honoring the state champs as well.
I mean, can't Mount Carmel take a year off of being the state champion? I mean, can they give somebody else a chance? When was the last time they weren't the state champion in football? But no, that's great. Yeah,
that's great. But one other thing, and if we can plug it real quick, we do have a website, SouthsideIrishParade.org, where this year we have a commemorative T-shirt and poster that was designed by a local artist, Tim McCarthy, who's also a Chicago firefighter. And all the money we raise from T-shirt sales and poster sales is going to Tunnel to Towers. So you can go to SouthsideIrishParade.org to order a T-shirt or a hat.
All right. Support the parade and support Tunnels to Towers in the process. SouthsideIrishParade.org. Did I get that right?
That's it.
SouthsideIrishParade.org. Jim Smith, member of the Southside Irish Parade. Oh, and I guess there's some of the details, too, for those who don't know. But March 15th, right?
March 15th, 12 o'clock noon. We march out. We step off from 103rd and Western in the heart of the South Side.
All right. And then the drinking continues until March 18th, 19th, roughly?
We like to have a few once the parade's over, but responsibly.
Very good. All right. Jim Smith, member of the Southside Irish Parade Committee. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
And Jim joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
There's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me.
That was Pritzker's challenge to President Trump. But who are Pritzker's people? They're the more than 1,700 illegal alien predators he helped escape from ICE. They're the illegal aliens whose health care, rent, and college tuition you pay for. You can't afford to stay because Pritzker makes you pay for his people. Well, I have a message for you, Governor. I'll be coming for you and going through you. Your days and the days of sanctuary living for your people are over. I'm Ted Dabrowski, your conservative candidate for governor, and I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary on March 17th. Paid for by Ted for Illinois.
By the way, I think I said Royce. What did I say? Royce Campbell? Royce Williams, of course, was the aviator who was conferred the Medal of Honor in the State of the Union address. Just make sure I correct the record there. Sorry. I don't want to fall into the trap of being a name assassinator there. Raise your hand if chronic pain is making you feel old, older than you actually are. Ongoing pain can really turn your golden years upside down, but here's the good news. QC Kinetics patients right here in Chicagoland are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. I know this because I've met some of the patients. Dr. Caravelli and the QC Kinetics medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science. Treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body and concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon. Patrick's golf game is on fire again, and Andrea's back in her garden. These are real QC Kinetics patients. The sooner you start, the sooner inflammation and pain eases, and the sooner joint damage slows down. So don't wait. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetics' regenerative treatments and tell them I sent you. Your first visit and consultation are free, so call now, 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Are you 65 or older and dealing with chronic knee or shoulder pain? You're not alone. At the Joint Relief Institute, we've helped thousands find real relief without surgery. Our non-surgical, FDA-approved treatment uses hyaluronic gel that acts like a cushion between the bones in your knee. As we age, the cushion naturally wears down, causing painful grinding and popping. But our gel restores that cushion, allowing your knee to move smoothly again. Ready to stop the pain and get back to doing what you love? Call the Joint Relief Institute at 708-315-6800. Again, that's 708-315-6800.
Move better, live better with JRI.
Move better and live better with JRI. Contact the Joint Relief Institute today and get back to doing what you love. Call 708-315-6800 or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. Call 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
If you're like most Americans nearing retirement with money in a 401k or IRA, then listen carefully. The U.S. dollar is under pressure. Foreign nations are reducing reliance on the dollar, and some analysts are openly warning about the long-term stability of U.S. currency dominance. Whether you call it currency debasement or the collapse of the dollar, the risk is real. And when confidence in the U.S. dollar shifts, gold and silver historically respond. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 to get your free gold investment kit. You'll also receive a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Most American retirement accounts are dramatically underallocated to precious metals, even as central banks continue buying gold at record levels. Many Americans are rolling over a portion of their retirement savings into physical gold and silver, tax and penalty-free with Advantage Gold. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
AM 560, The Answer.
I got to tell you, that Robin Kelly clip, that really rankles me. They're just so obnoxious. They have no respect for anything that demands respect. Really annoying. Anyway, speaking of things that demand respect, our Olympic team, Jack Hughes, returned to his day job. That's being a center for the New Jersey Devils. And he was given the chance to address all the Devils fans upon his return to his professional life. Here's what he said.
I'm so proud and I'm so happy that the men's and women's USA hockey teams brought gold medals back to the United States of America. And you guys are making me emotional, but I'm so proud to represent the New Jersey Devils organization. And I'm so proud to represent the great state of New Jersey. So proud. From the bottom of my heart, all my teammates, USA teammates, we just want to thank you guys for all the love and the support. We feel it. Thank you.
Except for most of the Democrats that wouldn't stand when we walked down the steps and the balcony during the State of the Union address. But no, the interesting thing, too, the politics of New York Times, they won the medal and then lost the room by agreeing to take a call from Trump and go to the State of the Union address and so forth, forcing them into a political box that they have clearly avoided. Otherwise, they just love their country and celebrating this great accomplishment, and that's it. But the left has to force them into politics. Actually, Clay Travis happened upon something useful. This was back in I guess it had to be 2011 when the Boston Bruins won the Cup. And Tim Thomas of the Bruins declining the Obama invitation to go with his team to the White House. This was an MSNBC panel on the Tim Thomas decision.
It's time, as it always is, for What Now? Boston Bruins goalie Tim Thomas, RSVP, thanks, but no thanks to a White House invitation. What do we make of that? Tim Thomas points out that Tim Thomas said, I exercise my right as a free citizen and did not visit the White House. This was not about politics or party, as in my opinion, both parties are responsible for the situation we are in as a country.
I think this is kind of the hyper-partisanship that just irritates everybody. It's like, just go to the White House. You don't have to run an ad or cut a commercial or anything. Just go to the White House, take part, celebrate, just like everybody else celebrates with Republicans or Democratic presidents.
Especially when you're getting honored. Obama made specific mention of him during his 6-minute address.
Yeah, that was back in that hyper-partisan era. Not like today when you get roasted by the New York Times and the Huffington Post if you deign to be in Trump's presence, though he is the president of the United States, and you're playing to represent your country and you win in honor of your, the typical hypocrisy, right? Play politics when we say, how we say. That's the leftist way. Thanks for joining us on another installment of Chicago's Morning Answer. Appreciate all the calls and texts. We'll see you tomorrow. It's now 9 o'clock, AM 560 WIND.
What really happened off the coast of Cuba? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Cuba claims a speedboat full of armed Cubans who live in the U.S. were trying to infiltrate the island with terrorist intent. 4 were shot dead, 6 wounded.
We're not going to take the word of the Cuban government to exactly what was going on.
That's Congressman Carlos Jimenez, who himself is a Cuban-American from Florida, and the Republican just told Fox Business.
First of all, that wasn't a speedboat. It was from what I understand, it's a 24-foot open fisherman with a 300 horsepower engine with 10 people on it. That's not going to go